French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Somebody hit somebody with a pie. Do something.
Giovanni yelling we're out of time as we go off the air.
Giovanni yelling a lot of things tonight.
And welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome this fine Monday evening to the Mark It Down podcast. I am James Gisanti, joined gloriously, beautifully in 1080 HD, Danny Skibbo Hernandez. Danny, welcome back.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just forgot something came up. I gotta go.
Please don't do this. Please don't do this. I'm so sad. I need you guys to know how sad I am right now. I know. See, that's how discombobulated I am. He must have been waiting like 45 minutes for this joke. He was dealing with my technical difficulties, with setting up the stream, with everything. And he was so patient. He was so kind. And I deserve this. I absolutely deserve this. I recognize that I deserve this. So, yeah, here I am. Oh, is he back? He's back. My man, you are a merciful, good, kind man. Thank you.
Oh, hello. Look at that. We already got comments coming in. I don't know who Eric is, but we're going to ignore that one.
Yeah.
Logan James, what's up? Hello, Mercedes Monet for Sunny Storm is the biggest women's match in AEW history. Mercedes delivers the best in-ring performance, and Tony, the greatest storytelling and character work. I mean, you're not wrong. We're going to talk about that. We have strong opinions on it, and we're excited to dive into what was I don't want to give away any spoilers on our opinions, but in my opinion, it was a very, very good show last night from AEW. Yep. I'm very excited to talk about it. We're also talking about other wrestling shows that we may or may not be equally as excited to talk about. But do you want to start? Well, first of all, how did you enjoy the show, just from an overall perspective?
I loved AEW's Double or Nothing. Double or Nothing was an incredible show. This is the 6-year anniversary for AEW, Double or Nothing being their inaugural show. And I remember 6 years ago, I remember where the company was then and where we are today. And it feels like night and day. But that core, that feeling is still there for me. That excitement when I think about professional wrestling tends to revolve around 3 letters right now. And those letters are AEW. And last night's show really exemplified what I love about the company. Now, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say this was very much like a classic AEW pay-per-view of like balls to the walls. Here's so much all at once.
Yep.
You either take it or leave it, and I'm always gonna take it. Like their past few pay-per-views have been way better with the timing and not going past midnight. Tonight we had to make that exception. There was important things that needed to get done, and because of that, and because it's a holiday weekend, I didn't mind. I was more than happy to have this show go as long as it did. Even we'll talk about some things that maybe I would have cut from the show. But
okay,
you know,
that's fair.
what the fuck? What the fuck do I know? You know. But I thought, yeah, they really hammed up the 6-year stuff. They really made it feel special and like a big deal, which is good. 6 is a weird number to do it for, but it's important because now it felt like it feels like just as important to AEW's history as the all-in/out pay-per-view does. Yep. So I was very excited to watch the show, and I thought it delivered.
I would agree. I would completely agree.
I mean, you're steering the ship here, but do you want to start with
I'll
top of the show, or?
I think we should, just because there is very clearly a line throughout the show. You know, like in terms of setting the stage for what's next, obviously being AEW All In Texas in July. So I think we got to start off hot, and AEW started off hot as the first match of the night was the finals for the women's side of the Owen Hart Cup tournament, as Mercedes Moné took on Jamie Hayter to determine who would be the number one contender going into All In. Now, we had opinions going into this match. We both love Jamie Hayter. We're a big fan of Jamie Hayter. We recognize the depth, the size of what Mercedes winning would mean for that matchup at All In. But we are a little conflicted at the notion of so many belts, or in this instance, I guess really two belts that matter, being locked up into one matchup. So that was something that we had in our heads as we were watching the match. And quite frankly, I'm not going to give away the winner before we talk about the match, but I as I was watching it, I knew I would be satisfied no matter what, because it was such a fun matchup. And as somebody who's been a Mercedes defender for a while now, because I think it's fair to say she has some detractors in AEW. I can't imagine why, but
I think she just has detractors, period. It doesn't matter where.
Fair enough. But I enjoyed this matchup because it felt so different than Mercedes' typical matchups in AEW. We've seen some great ones from her. Some really great matches that remind us why she's one of the Iron Women of wrestling. But there was an intensity to this matchup that, quite frankly, I can't really remember being in Mercedes' other matchups. And that was what Jamie Hayter brought to the page. That's what she brought to this matchup. And I thought it was such a great clash of styles. Commentary talking about how this is the first time these women are locking up in a match, but that doesn't mean that they aren't familiar with one another. As AEW was building up the intensity, AEW was building up the rivalry this last month or so, as these women just kept attacking each other, kept getting in each other's faces, and just kept talking trash. So there was definitely a sense of culmination with this matchup, not just being the tournament final, but the bout that these two women delivered. And I guess we'll get into it. The winner being Mercedes Moné, the TBS champion, getting a roll-up victory over Jamie Hayter, and then hightailing it out of the ring and just running towards that trophy, running towards that belt. I'm obviously a little disappointed. Just because I'm such a Hayter fan, and I am still not thrilled at the notion of both belts being locked up in one match and us wanting as many women's matches as possible at the pay-per-view. But clearly, Mercedes is bringing her A game, and she is going to bring it to Texas to All In. So, Danny, what did you think of the match? What did you think of the winner? Would you have done things differently?
First up, the match was fantastic. Maybe Hayter's best match in AEW.
Wow.
Definitely her best since coming back, but maybe her best period. Like, wow. I'm trying to think. Was it the first Toni Storm match that was like so good? But you know, it's like one of those. But fantastic match. Hayter. They told a simple story, and it's the same story they've been told in the build-up. Is Hayter keeps going for the Haterade. Yeah. Mercedes keeps finding ways to avoid it, and only got hit by it once in the build, and I believe once in the match, but it was like the springboard one, not the normal like finish. Great match. So many great reversals, and that's what Mercedes has been doing to protect a lot of her opponents that she's beating. Like, she never pinned Statlander with the finisher and made her tap. You know, like, she rolled her up. Jamie, she didn't make her tap, hit her with the moneymaker. She rolled her up. Granted, this roll up looked like it hurt a lot, but it was very brutal. It was a brutal DDT that happened to also be a roll up. But and then her hightailing out of there is such a good touch, because it really really highlights the fact that she stole the victory there, and she didn't steal it by cheating. She just stole it by taking it in a split second like that with that reversal. and it made it seem like I gotta get out of here because I can't be around this woman for 1 second longer. I have to hightail it, and I thought that was really nice. And having a day to sit on it, I'm more than fine with it. It's something I knew
That's
going
how I
in.
feel. That's how I feel, by the way. We'll talk about that, but go ahead.
Yeah, I knew going in that Mercedes was gonna win. For me, it was maybe like 75-25. Like,
Yeah.
Hayter has a chance, but like Hayter does not feel like the Hayter pre-injury, and I don't blame her for that at all. I like the new look. People online complain. I think anyone who complains about her look is dumb. But
I think she looks amazing.
Yeah, I think she looks so much cooler.
It was a jarring change, but once you get over that, like, wow, that's not what I'm used to. She looks fantastic. It's so unique. It's so unique.
Yeah, I think it's good. She stands out. It's a good look, and I don't think her old look was that like important that it couldn't have been changed. Like it wasn't.
I remember when she had the old look with the blonde and the black
half and half, yeah,
the half and half, and she wrestled Toni Storm, who this was like timeless.
Yeah,
she had the
rocker Toni Storm.
Yeah, and she had the blonde and the black. I remember I was watching with people that legitimately couldn't tell them apart, like they weren't sure who was who, and granted they weren't like diehards who would obviously know, but it was like somebody trying to watch for the first time, and. Granted, Toni changed her look too, but it's great to say I'm never going to be confused for someone else, and I don't think Jamie Hayter will ever have to worry about that in AEW now.
Well,
I know who we're thinking of, a certain man that she gets compared to, but
which I don't like those comparisons.
I don't either.
They're both so good in separate ways. Like, don't do that, but. No, I was going to say just classic James and all of his peers just can't tell the difference between any of these foreign women. They're all the same to you.
Oh, I walked into that one.
Of course. It's been a while, but it hasn't been that long.
That's on me.
But anyway, to circle back to what I was saying, is that Jamie is just not the Jamie Hayter she was when she was champion, or in a good way, the division has moved forward.
Yes.
That what Jamie Hayter was isn't the same as what the top champion is now.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, even though we still have our complaints with the women's division, like 2 titles being in 1 match and us not knowing what that means for the rest of the division for the biggest show of the year, the division is elevated further than it was when like Britt was champ, when Hayter was champ, when Toni was champ the first time. It has evolved in a way where like. Well, now we have top stars. Like Mercedes is just one of the top stars, period. Toni Storm is kind of the best, like there are weeks where we're just like, well, she's the best person in the whole company. Like no one's doing what she's doing. Yep. And it's like, she's right up there with like Hangman and Ospreay as like the main characters of the show at this point.
Absolutely.
So the division has gone to a point where unfortunately going into this was like, well, I don't see a world where Hayter wins, even though I'd rather have 2 big women's matches than the 1 super match. I couldn't see how I was going to, but they did a good job in the build of getting Hayter back up there where it's like, well, maybe there's a chance. The only thing that really solidified it was that she hit the Haterade on the go home show. I was like, oh, she's 100% losing. Like,
and as you know, we really follow the rules of opposite momentum here at the Mark It Down podcast. We know it, we follow it, we dread it, but we can't avoid it. I will say, to your point, I think we have gotten to a point with how well they've built her back up that I could see her winning the TBS title sooner than later. I could see her and Mercedes running it back.
We say that about everybody Mercedes has a match with because they end up being so good that we're just like, I can see them running it back. And it's like, there's a lot of stuff we need to run back. I don't know how we're going to fit all this in. Like, she hasn't even fought Willow again, That's
so crazy to think about.
So many things. But ultimately, we're getting the mega match. It's weird because now I want it to main event. But if whoever won the men's Owen is going to dethrone Mox, that should probably main event. It'd be weird to have that happen and not main event.
Yeah.
But this is the biggest women's match they can possibly do in this company.
Yeah.
So if this is a main event, what will? But I want to talk about that, but I'm kind of more interested in what do you think the other women's match is, or God forbid, and by God forbid, I mean, please God, we get more than 2 matches on this show. What could they possibly be? And we have 2 options. I think I know what you want. I think you want tag titles.
You know exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
You know exactly what I want.
I kind of, and I've just been thinking about this since last night. I haven't put a lot of thought into it, but I wouldn't mind the women getting the Casino Gauntlet because I think the first one they had was really good.
Yeah.
And then just given that, like, I don't want to be like that gets more women on the show, but like it does in a good way, in a fun way.
I agree.
So I wouldn't mind if they got it, and then we know who's gonna face Mercedes or Storm, who I will say going into this, and we have a month and a half to change our minds, but I'm rooting for Storm. It's a win-win. I don't think either option's wrong, but I think, or I mean, maybe you think one of the options is wrong, but
I don't know if that's me or if that's you, but you got really robotic there.
Did I? Am I still robotic?
You are frozen on my screen, but I don't know. It might just be my StreamYard because I think on YouTube you're fine. All right, we'll figure it out. Now you sound better. Go for it.
Okay. So, 3 things. You want tag titles. How do you feel about a women's Owen? Who do you think should win between Storm and Mercedes? And what other women's matches could you see on the All In card?
I am arguably a bigger Mercedes fan than a Tony fan, but I absolutely want Tony to retain against Mercedes. If Mercedes goes through pretty much the entire AEW women's roster and doesn't lose getting to the champion, who beats her? I do not like that trajectory. It works for certain people, and I don't think Mercedes is that person. As great as she is, I don't think she's that person. Like, you save that for the Brock Lesnar's. I hesitate, but like the Jade Cargills, like for what they were building her for, like she's not in that same, but like for what they were building her for. So I would rather she lose to Tony. I would rather Tony overcome. And then Mercedes could keep on with the TBS title theoretically for another little while too. So both women kind of make it out on top no matter what if Mercedes loses, as opposed to if Mercedes wins, she is the undisputed queen of the mountain. And then it's who else?
Okay, yeah, I don't want to say anything anti-Mercedes because she has one of the most weaponized fan bases, but I agree. I think, what do you do at that point? And like, I don't want to hear Willow because
been there, done that.
Yeah, I don't think everything has to be a circle.
I agree.
I would like for Tony to win because she's done what no other woman in the company has done and what Mercedes has never done, which is like gotten like, you just can't compare what Tony's done to like pretty much anybody else. It's unparalleled.
Nope.
And I would like her reward to be she beats the other top person instead of she loses to that top person.
I agree.
Like, I wouldn't mind. I want Willow and Stat to both win the world title in the next calendar year desperately. But I'd rather one of them beat Tony or beat whoever beats Tony, whether it's like someone like Megan Bayne or like whoever, like there's so much to do. And then that way, because you still get a rub from beating Tony, and then whoever beats Mercedes with the TBS title still gets a rub. Like, those are still moments to have, as opposed to putting all the eggs in the Mercedes basket. But if they do it, I'm sure, like, I'll say this now and then it happens, and I'll warm up to it maybe. But because, look, Mercedes has delivered pretty much. Besides maybe her first month being kind of slow and, like,
Yeah.
It's like, okay, is she a face? Is she a heel? I'm not sure what they're doing here. This isn't really gelling. Like it's, she's delivered in every other aspect ever since she started wrestling, essentially. But I would like to, I just feel like what Tony's done is so special that I think she's already been rewarded with, she's the 4-time champion, but, I would put her over Mercedes in this situation. I hesitate to call her a homegrown, but, she kind of, Timeless is homegrown to AEW, so I would call her a homegrown AEW, the same way I would call Swerve a homegrown, despite him having wrestled elsewhere. He's not Killshot in AEW. So I would call her homegrown. I'd rather her go over, but I don't think Mercedes winning is bad. I
don't think it's bad either. I just think it creates a set of problems that Tony winning doesn't.
Yeah.
So,
it's fine. We can do it for a little bit. If you're going to introduce tag titles, fine. I'm already going to call it now. If you're going to introduce them, I think Stat and Willow have to win them.
See, I agree with you. They should be the inaugural champions. And I want to get into it real briefly because we should move on.
Yeah, we probably should.
I am very much on board with Harley and Anna Jay.
Oh my God, not winning the titles though. I'm going to say something. I don't want to sound rude because I like Anna Jay.
No, it's entirely being carried by Harley, and that's fine.
Yeah, she does not, she's not the right person for Harley to bounce off of, in my opinion. I think for all of her faults that people have problems with her, I think Saraya was perfect at this.
Yeah.
And obviously Mercedes was also perfect at it.
Yeah.
With Anna,
We've got one joke with Anna.
Yeah. I just feel like she's not really that straight man, sort of Jake, half of the Jake and Amir vibe to match Harley Cameron.
See, the problem is she's just not as good at it. And I'm not trying to, I love Anna Jay because she was the straight person in the Dark Order. That was her character. She was
right, but you're a straight person in a group, a large group. It's a little, it's a little different. She had to react to them, whereas she has to interact with Harley more. I don't know how to describe it perfectly. I don't want to be mean to Anna Jay because I think I'm glad she's back and I'm really impressed with what she's done, and how much she's improved over the past year. Yeah. So, this one just there's not enough contrast. I think also is the thing. It's just not enough contrast like Mercedes and Saraya was for Harley.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would win the tag titles. I think we're looking at literally the finals. Predict off the bat would be Bane and Penelope versus Stat and Willow.
Yeah, I think so too.
But
I think so too.
Maybe that's the match we get. Hopefully we get more than that, but
I loved your idea of the gauntlet. I think that would be a great way to rightfully get as many deserving talent on the show as possible. I don't want to, like you said, I don't want to just say I want to get as many women on the show as possible. I want to get as many rightfully earned women on the show as possible. Yeah. So in a best case scenario, we get 3 matches, whether it is the debut of the tag titles, which granted, All In would be a great place to do that. Or
we're also running out of time though, because that's 6 weeks.
I know.
You're gonna start a tournament. Usually AEW would have announced it already, but we'll see. Maybe we get an announcement this Wednesday.
It would be very AEW to just finish a tournament to immediately go into another tournament. But that's another episode of the podcast that we'll talk about at another time. Overall, thumbs up, thumbs down for the Mercedes Jamie Hayter match.
Oh, that's two thumbs up. That was great. It's a great match.
Fantastic way to start the show. Absolutely great way to start the show. Moving on, we're just going to briefly acknowledge that FTR versus Nigel McGuinness and Daniel Garcia happened.
Love seeing Nigel wrestle. That was nice.
Absolutely. FTR rightfully going over Nigel and Daniel. My only criticism is that the finish of the match comes with was it Cash? Yeah, Cash locking in the sharpshooter onto Daniel as Nigel McGuinness, who had been taken out with a what is it, a big rig, or what do they call it? It's the shatter machine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hitting the shatter machine onto Nigel on the outside incapacitated him to the point of not being able to make the rescue onto Daniel, who passes out into the sharpshooter. I thought this was a good idea of a finish, but I think the roles should have been reversed. I feel that Daniel should have been taken out on the outside, as Nigel's the one to pass out in the ring, as Nigel is the one who wanted to defend his partner's honor, and Garcia would have tried to do everything he could to save the one person who was fighting this fight with him. So
I mean, I agree with you, but you said Nigel wants to defend his partner's honor, and he failed to do so, which also applies to the match because he failed to defend his partner from the submission.
I guess that's true. You know what? That is a good way to think about it. Bravo. Yeah. Bravo. Yeah.
But I still agree. You pin the person who doesn't wrestle. You know, like that's that's the person you beat.
And that way you could keep Garcia in the feud. You know, like if you could pull out another match from Garcia from these two, but whatever. We're spending more time talking about it regardless. We then moved on to what I actually thought was a very fun matchup. We had a stretcher match between Ricochet and Mark Briscoe. Now, granted, there's not a whole lot to say here. It was a fun matchup. I do think they got pretty creative with certain spots. These are exactly the two type of guys who can make a match like this fun, because in general, stretcher matches kind of suck. But
yeah, look, I'll say one thing. They improved the stretcher match by just making it an ambulance match.
I agree.
Which the stretcher match was dumb. Like the WWE version of push them past a finish line on a stretch.
Yeah.
Just do an ambulance match. Just you want to do it. Just it's whatever. I don't want to get too worked up about it, but this was really fun.
Yes.
Mark Briscoe fucking always delivers. He's so good at he is Sami Zayn, he is Mick Foley, he is Eddie Kingston. Like he is all of those guys. They all have that quality that you just love in a wrestler. And it was so funny. He grew out his hair for this, you know, like he just to rub it in Ricochet's face or on his head, as he literally did in the match. I love the Mr. Clean spot where he shined his head up. You know, that was great. Fun match. Of course, Ricochet's got to go over. Ricochet's doing the best work of his career. And this is coming from people that liked him as Prince Puma, you know, like this is coming from people who saw the Ospreay clip and were like, that's the fucking shit, you know, like, but what he's doing now kind of trumps that. Like he's
absolutely
and that visual at the end of the match with him standing tall and then they cut to the scissors next to a pool of blood.
Incredible.
I was like, bro, that is so much above what wrestling is. I'm like, this is crazy. This is actually too good for wrestling. It's so crazy.
I gotta hand it to both guys too, because you're 100% right. We knew Ricochet was going to win this. He should have won this. He's the rising star in this matchup. But that's how good Mark Briscoe is. That is that quality that Mark has that you compare to Mick Foley, to Sami Zayn, to whoever, where it's a special star that you know they're going to lose, but they have that magic about them that just makes you doubt it for a second.
Yep. This guy, Mark Briscoe, loses every fucking match. There's no way he's winning this. And then he hits a move. Like, oh, actually,
maybe are we doing this?
That froggy bow through the table. That's you know, maybe that's gonna be it.
That spot where he used the crutch to stop the ambulance door from
very nice,
fantastic. A nice way of doing something new with a pretty expected spot. And Ricochet hit a beautiful missed, but hit a beautiful shooting star press onto the gurney, and that was just a great spot. So good job from these guys. Mark Briscoe bleeding buckets, Ricochet bleeding too, but Mark Briscoe just wearing a crimson gown. Just bravo from both of these guys, turning something that was gonna be an eye roller into something really fun. Yeah,
literally like fourth best thing on the card, and that's like a compliment because of how heavy the top three best things on the show were.
Yep. And going to that, this show, which was sometimes the best of times and sometimes the times of times, as we had the AEW World Tag Titles, the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, accompanied by, of course, MVP and newest Hurt Syndicate member, MJF, taking on the Sons of Texas, the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes. I loved what you said about this matchup. I don't know if you exactly said it about this matchup or if it was the no, I'm so sorry. I got to give credit here. This was to Eric. Eric said this very well. This match could have been an email.
It's an it's like we were at Dynasty.
Yep.
It was like the same thing where it's like, well, we know they're going to win. They don't even have credible opponents. The tag division is a little soft right now. But then the matches are still fun. But like with this one, I was like, you can't expect me to care about this with Anarchy in the Arena still to come and like Hangman Ospreay still to come. But like, I get it. You want to have them on there. They're a big deal. They're over. MJF's a part of it now. You got to put it on. And hell, Sammy's a day one guy, double or nothing. Like that's it kind of makes sense. But it's like, I love a good Dustin performance as much as the next guy.
He was bouncing around the ring for this matchup.
Yeah.
But it's doing like everything he could for this matchup.
It's hard to care. Like, this is one of those times where I'm like, well, if this wasn't on the show, it would have been a little shorter and easier to watch. But that's to no fault of the performers. They still had like good spots. It's just, the tag division's in a weird spot where the best part about it is a singles guy trying to faction up with the tag champs.
Yeah. And that story did play in to the matchup as MJF offered his Dynamite Diamond ring. And it never came into play, but he was showing his dedication to the team. There were some weird, awkward moments between Bobby and MJF that I didn't really understand what they were going for. And I don't know if that's Bobby is just not a good enough actor to pull it off, or if just like it was just awkwardly done. But highlight of the match was Sammy Guevara going for a suicide dive to the outside, only to be sniped out of the sky by Shelton Benjamin with a running flying knee. It wasn't the prettiest knee, but boy, did he catch him.
Oh, man. Upon replays, you just was late to the spot.
Yeah.
But from the angle it was filmed at, it didn't matter because it just looked like it killed him.
Yeah.
So, fun match. Not much to say, really, besides, like Eric said, it could have been an email on this one, but that's to no fault of anyone involved, and more it's just the health of the tag division overall right now.
I agree, unfortunately. They really need to sign some teams. But moving on to our next championship match, we had the AEW Continental Championship on the line as Kazuchika Okada defended against Speedball Mike Bailey. Now, I was very excited for this matchup going into it. And for me, it more or less delivered on what I was hoping for. But it was starting to show me classic Okada, which is what I really appreciated about it. If you guys aren't super familiar with Okada from New Japan and where he really made his name as a living legend or a modern legend, Okada wrestles a very unique match style, which is that the first half of that match arguably is so frustratingly slow that you don't want to watch it. But then it is juxtaposed by such an exciting back half of the match that you legitimately think the entire match is incredible. Now, I don't think the first half of this match was bad or slow, but it wasn't nearly as memorable as the closing of the match. Okada was... I'll get you 1 second. Okada had control pretty early on as Speedball missed a kick to the stairs with his bare, dirty feet, and that definitely slowed him down throughout the matchup. He was doing his best to keep up with Okada, and he did eventually turn things around, but the finish of the match coming after going for the Ultima weapon, his finishing move, Okada catches him picture perfect. Drop kick counter to that finisher, and then leading to the Rainmaker, delivering the 1-2-3, and Speedball's first singles loss in AEW.
Oh man, what a match! You summed it up well. I actually think this was maybe this was Okada's best AEW match.
I think so too. It's weird. I think so, in terms of like singles, because he's been a part of some fun stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah.
But he really brought it. And it was like you said, it was the Okada format we're used to, where it's like a Randy Orton match the first half, and then it's an Okada match the second half.
Yeah,
and he really, and I just think Speedball has been so good since he came in. Like, he's been low key one of my favorite signings in like the past couple of years, because he just fits in. I saw a tweet earlier today that was just like, man, Speedball was meant to be in the conglomeration, but the faction ended too soon.
It's so real.
It's like,
that is so real.
It's like, bro, like, the best friends, the conglomeration, like, bro, it's like these all-star tags we've been having with like money on the line. I'm like, this is just because he regrets getting rid of the conglomeration. Like, it literally was just this faction kind of soft-ended, where it's like it's just a group of guys, and sometimes Willow and sometimes Stout, the best friends. Like, it just, I think we need those types of factions, and he would have been the perfect fit for it. But he's been so good. He's delivered so much. I mean, we were at that triple threat at Dynasty, and we gushed over that a lot. But he's just been on it, and he has like a good thing going with Kevin Knight. I feel like they could actually be a key part of like revitalizing the tag division.
I agree.
Because unfortunately, not unfortunately, but just in reality, there's no room in the singles titles divisions for them to win anything right now. So they could be a legitimate threat to the tag title. So I would say we can really put them in that window, and they will thrive. But it's been a pleasure to watch him so far, and the fact that he was able to get all of this out of Okada, someone who, it's almost like a joke at this point, how we're like, this dude is not trying, but we're not even like criticizing him for it. We're just like, oh my god, this dude does not care, and it's hilarious.
He is Ash's Charizard.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
He is so good, and he has not had a challenge worth his time. And when something scratches his nose, he's gonna hit you with the fire blast. But it's not often that he gets that fire pumping. But I think this was the signs of it. This is where we were going. So really cool stuff. Really cool stuff between the two guys. And I agree. I think Speedball and Kevin Knight would be a great addition to the tag team division. So we all know beyond that, as far as Okada goes, we're just kind of killing time a little bit until all in.
Yeah.
We get the match we've all been waiting for. Kenny Omega versus Okada.
For the first time ever.
For the first time since the last time. But fun matchup, and just kept it going with really good title matches, except for that one tag title. Moving on, we are now going back to the women, as we had the AEW Women's World Championship on the line, as Timeless Toni Storm defended against her friend, enemy, frenemy, lover, Mina Shirakawa. This was a fun matchup. It's an interesting spot because they didn't want to fully commit to Mina being the heel, I feel like. So it created an interesting dynamic between the two. But I'd say this lived up to the first match. What would you say?
I think this was better than the first match.
Okay.
I think, I agree, like, because you don't want to turn her heel, especially after, you brought back the song everyone likes. You want to keep her as a favorite. But I really liked. Sorry, my mouse just died. Not that matters, but I really liked the simple story they told, which they set up in the build to this, which was that Mina had the counter to the big package, and that's how she beat her in the qualifier, or the eliminator, I should say. And they continued that story here, and the figure 4 spot from the go home show working the leg, working the knee. So I thought it was real simple. Like, there's not too much to say about it. It was a good match. I think it was better than the first one because I think Mina is more established in AEW this time around. So, yes, we didn't believe she was going to beat Tony because of when this match is happening.
Unfortunately.
Not because of Mina, though. It's not because we don't know who Mina is. It's just literally because, they're not going to do Mina versus Mercedes at the biggest show of the year. But, like, that's not a knock on Mina or the quality of the match. It's just the timing of everything. Yeah. But it was a good match. And, we didn't see Mariah May, and who knows if we'll ever see her again. She might go into early retirement, and that's sad. But I think
she's going to be changing careers. She's going to go from being a professional wrestler to an entertainer.
I mean, it's weird. And that's her, right?
Yep.
I have faith in her.
I do. I have a weird feeling she's sticking around, and I don't think.
I think so too. But I don't want to say it because I'm like,
yeah.
I would be okay, and I don't want to get into a whole like tangent about this, but I wouldn't mind if she left and came back.
Okay.
Because we still need someone to do that.
Yes.
It just hasn't happened the other way yet, and like,
don't you worry. Don't you worry. Ricky Saints is coming back any day now.
I would accept him, but I don't really want him that bad. But if it was like him or Ethan Page, I'm like, yes, please give me fucking Ricky Saints. But like Cody's unfortunately probably never going to come back, even though it'd be so beast if he did.
Yes.
Punk, maybe he burns another bridge and he has no job again. But
this is truly why WWE is buying all the competition. It's so they know that if he fucks up again, he can't just go somewhere else. It's really just so they own everywhere he could land, except for AEW.
But like Mariah is so good and still so young that she could go over and that's, I guess that's my thing is like, it's okay that people want to still go to WWE. Of course, but I take more like umbrage when it's like they go and then they're like, all right, well, I'm gonna stay here forever. And like, I get it. It's like, I understand why, but part of me is like, no, what you should be doing is like what Mariah May has done in AEW is how you should treat all these jobs. Go for 2-3 years, fucking wreck shit, and then leave. Like, that's be so beast. I just want someone to also do that in WWE and be like, all right, cool. Like imagine having AJ Styles' first 2 years, and then dipping. Now that's an option. I want someone to take advantage of it, and not just be like, well, I guess I'll be a backstage producer here in a couple of years. Everyone's so complacent and again, whatever job you want, go for it.
Of course. We are not saying this from a point of we want anybody to do anything in particular. It's just we want to see the health of the business continue to grow. We want to see this back and forth for people who are super talented to always have a place to work and to always have a place that's going to feel fresh and offer opportunities. For Mariah May, she is sort of the prime example of being able to do that.
Yeah.
So, but if she chooses to stay in AEW, we'd be super happy. If she chooses to go to WWE, we'd be super happy for her. So, yeah.
Like, oh god, sorry. It's just like the NXT fan base. Like, imagine them going in so hard. But that's like, look, Mariah. I've recently just rewatched. I've been rewatching AEW because it's like. It's just like maybe my favorite thing that's come from AEW's existence.
Yeah.
It's like AEW.
Hey, ew.
Yeah, it's just it's so good. And I'm like, damn, like you can even see it back then, like the wheels turning in RJ City's head, like, yeah, we're gonna make such good fucking shit with this. But anyway, sorry, to get back to the show. She didn't come out, but like you said, it doesn't necessarily mean she's leaving. We'll see. Ultimately, whatever she does is is up to her, but we can move on to what's next.
Well,
in the
just to
show.
finish off, the two competitors, after Toni Storm getting the win and retaining her AEW Women's Championship, the two competitors stood in the ring, literally kissed and made up, and then I guess set the stage for Toni Storm versus Mercedes Moné at AEW.
Oh shit, Mariah's definitely leaving because her two exes are together now.
So I just kept thinking about this as we're building towards the likelihood of an AEW Women's Tag Team Championship coming. Mina has two potential partners moving forward, either Toni or Mariah. And no matter how you write the story, I think you could easily get there.
I think no matter how we get there, there's gonna be a lot of like threesome innuendos along the way.
I think so too. And you know what? I'm here for it. I'm here for it. As long as it's clever, why not? But great women's match, and really good way to set one of the main events for AEW All In. But moving forward, all right, I don't know if I have the energy to recap this match.
Let's just start talking about it.
AEW Anarchy in the Arena. We have Team AEW, which is Kenny Omega, the international champion, teaming with Swerve Strickland, Willow Nightingale, in the first ever instance of women being in these matchups, and the Ops being Katsuyori Shibata and Will Hobbs, Powerhouse Hobbs. Absent, at least momentarily, is Samoa Joe, 1/3 of the Trios champions, with the rest of the Ops. Coming out on the bad guy side, I guess we shouldn't, I'm expressing bias, but the Death Riders, which are Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, Marina Shafir, teaming with the Founding Fathers, which no matter how cringe you might find the outfits, God bless them for committing to it to the entire match.
Oh man, I actually think it was the right amount of cringe where it like goes back in a positive direction. Where it's like they're not trying to be cool, so it's endearing. And they have like the classic revolutionary style like marching music with their introduction about 6 years ago. Again, literally, you wait one more year
And
and you just use the exact one.
But it's better this way.
Yeah, it's like they're really honing in on the 6-year anniversary, not the 7-year, which 7 is like a good number for the casino theme of AEW pay-per-views. But they decided to go in on 6. It was just so good because you know the match is going to start with music playing, and for it to be this was just so funny. And then we got it like kind of immediately jump to the music change. Before we do, Samoa Joe showed up and attacked Claudio in the crowd. Great plan. A little bit of like Swerve was the only one who sold it. Was during the entrance. He's like, "Where's Joe?" And there's like, I don't know. Like Hobbs isn't worried. He's like, "I don't know, dude." Like,
I love though that realistically they just didn't tell them.
Yeah, there's no reason not to tell them.
Like, I have to believe that Hobbs and Shibata knew because they were like, "Don't worry about it." But like that means Kenny, Swerve, and Willow were just like, "God, I really hope he's okay and he's coming through for us because this will suck otherwise."
Like the Ops are just like, "No, we're wrestlers. We're gonna work other wrestlers. Like, even if they're our teammates, we're gonna work them." And can I just say, I love that Shibata's in this. Shibata's another one of my favorite AEW signings where I'm like, he has the most like just happy to be there vibes.
Yep.
And like everything he's in, he's like, "Yeah, I guess I'm in this." Like, yeah, I'm in Anarchy in the Arena, sure. Like what? Yeah, whatever.
The most wrestler in this match.
Yeah, he's in just plain black trunks. Everyone like Swerve comes out as the Predator, and Shibata's just like, "No, just my normal plain black trunks." And
he's like, "Are you sure I'm coming out with like a Captain Kenny trash can lid?" No, just plain black trunks. It'll be fine.
Yeah, Kenny came out as Captain North America. Very nice touch. But you know, I just want to jump to the music change. We're like, you know, can we please change this goddamn music?
What was the song that they played initially? I blocked it out.
It was the Young Bucks, the song they came out to, the revolutionary music.
No, but then they played music. Yeah.
No, there was that. It was that,
Oh.
and then they switched to the Pointer Sisters. I'm so excited.
Oh, okay, that's what I was asking. Yes, I'm sorry.
Because
I'm so excited. Yeah.
it was a very much like a fuck you to the fans.
Yes.
Of being like, why is this the Dynamite theme song? It's like, well, I paid for the shit. I'm gonna use it again. Fuck you guys. It was very much like an in joke in a like, you know, in the match that was very, very nice. And then they're like, yeah, fuck it, we'll beat someone up to this for a little bit. And I was like, okay, we've done that. Can we get one more change that feels a bit more wrestling? Maybe some like 2000s alt rock and
Kenny
bodies.
being the right person to ask for it. Kenny being the right person to make it happen. It worked perfectly. But go ahead.
Played Bodies by Drowning Pool. The crowd erupted for this. Once they heard
I freaked out.
Oh, so good. Like, I just didn't expect it. I already thought one change was enough. I thought it was just going to end after that. And then they did that. I was like, oh my God, yes, they have. And then everyone's even the wrestlers are like having fun with it. They're waiting. You can see them waiting for the time. So they hit it at their move at the same time as like chorus kicking in. Like, it was so fun. It was just pure fun nonsense. The best parts of what makes wrestling so stupid but endearing.
Yes, absolutely.
That was so great. And then the fact that this is just the beginning, like 10 minutes of the match.
Yep.
You know,
and they played the song for what felt like 15 to 20 minutes. I'm sure it was only like 15, but like they played it for a while. I think
it played 4 times, I think.
Yeah. And got to give it to AEW production, got to give it to Tony Khan. The use of split screen throughout the majority of the match was a nice touch. That way, there was never a moment that somebody wasn't being highlighted or somebody was forgotten.
I like that too. I'm glad it wasn't the whole entire match, even though that sounds
it was overwhelming.
Yeah, it would have been too much of that. Like, I'm glad it would be there for like 2 minutes, and then they would focus in on wherever the really big spot was about to happen. And then when things slowed down a bit again, they would go more variety. But hey, let's see what's cooking.
Yep.
Very nice way of presenting a nice new detail. I just want to give it up for Willow and Marina Shafir. Honestly, they played their parts in this so well.
It was exactly what I called going into the pay-per-view. That these women, because of the nature of the match, would just go off and do their own thing. But I was worried going into the match that it's like, yeah, they're going to go off and do their own thing. They're going to have like a spot or two that is going to be really big. So people are like, that's why they're in the match. But no, the use of the split screen meant they were there the majority of the time, just as much as the men. And like you said, they killed it. Wrestling on the outside, going into the parking lot, beer bottles to the face, production truck. Everything. They were just absolutely killing it.
Yeah, and then it's crazy is that it's like it's almost hard to remember that stuff because once they got back to the ring is when it really went into another gear for them. Like they fucking locked Willow by her ear to the ring post, and the crowd just chanting, "Please help Willow!" And it's so good. This is where my only nitpick or like thing I would have changed to try to improve it.
Okay.
And this is like a long shot, but like I would have had Stat come out and be the one to help her out of it.
I completely agree. And in my head, I was like, I would love this because it furthers that story in a way we all want it to go.
Yeah.
But my only thought was, how would she have? I mean, as it is, I don't fully understand how Nana had the key, but like I can at least buy because he was out there, he got it. With Stat, it's like he came in and just had the key out of nowhere.
I mean, they could have given Marina the key. She beats up Marina, takes the key, and like, you know, it could have been just a nice symbolic moment of like, I am doing this for you. She unlocks her, and then, you know, let's say gets jumped from behind and then taken out, and then Willow's like, okay, well now I'm fucking pissed.
Exactly.
And you know, but that wasn't a bad part of the match. That's just one thing I thought of that would have made me like something I loved even more. But once Willow Marina got into the ring and started interacting with everybody else, it was just so good. Willow hitting simultaneous moves with Swerve, with Hobbs, spearing all the dudes, fucking Marina taking the snap suplex from Kenny when he's giving up. So good. And the fact that they did it in a way where, like, you know, and I don't look, I love intergender wrestling.
Yeah.
It's like one of the best parts of the indies. Like, for me, like, dude, I've seen Brian Cage fucking murder Chris Statlander. I've seen Eva Lise die, like, at the hands of Penta. I've seen Chelsea Green die at the hands of Penta. Like, you know, like it's just cool. And the skill, like, wrestling's it's literally like a superhero movie. You're not like, oh my god, that guy's hidden Black Widow. You're like, oh yeah, this is a normal action scene. This is totally fine. It's totally fine. They're fighting.
It's one of the few places where this type of action makes sense and could be done in a very satisfying way.
Yeah. And
I agree.
And like all these women, like, that's the thing, is like anyone who's ever come from the indies, any women that's come from the indies wrestle dudes all the time. So like 100%. They're used to it too. Like, they know.
But you know what I noticed? It was Mox again who took Willow out. I think I think he was the one who basically said, I will take the heat of taking down a woman. Because he's consistently been the one to drop Willow. If it's not Marina, it's Mox. So I think that was one of those things that was very meticulously planned on their part. But both women looking absolutely incredible. Willow sharing that moment with Hobbs where she revealed she's wearing the big Black and Jack shirt.
Yeah, very nice.
Loved her in this matchup. Loved both women in this matchup.
Yeah, they really brought it.
Moving on to because so many people looked great in this matchup. Powerhouse Hobbs looking like the stud I think we've all known he was all this time, but being just let loose throughout the from bell to bell, he was basically John Moxley's counterpart.
Yeah.
Nobody brought it to Mox the way Hobbs did. Other people got involved with him. Kenny did. Joe did. People got mixed it up with him. It was Hobbs who decided, I am targeting the AEW World Champion. And
that's
boy,
nice.
did he. Yeah.
Hobbs has a long history with Mox. Pretty much his entire run in the company has been tied to Mox. When he first came in, he was partnering with Mox. He betrayed Mox, you know, and then he had the title shot against him. You know, like he's, you know, you don't think about it at first. You're like, why isn't Swerve the one with Mox? But it's like, no, like, makes sense with Hobbs. They actually have a long connection. And he looked great. I mean, honestly, who didn't look great in this match? Like,
no, the weak links, and it's just because of the roles they had to fill.
Claudio and Yuta. Like,
I was gonna say Shibata and Yuta.
Well, I like Shibata and everything he does. So like, I guess, I mean, yeah, in a way, he at least had the barbed wire Pele kick.
Yeah, that was really cool.
One thing I liked right before that, because speaking of Shibata, it was that he was with Yuta, and this is while Shafir and Willow are in the production area with the bottles. And they just burst outside while they're doing this, and it's almost like they're like, "Oh, sorry, we don't want to interrupt," and then go right back inside. Yeah. Why did they go outside? They didn't do anything out there. He fell through the door and they went right back inside.
Like, I love that. Claudio having a great moment where he's the ultimate spoiler, where he's the one who ultimately ends the music as he uses the giant swing. I think it was on Swerve.
Yeah.
To toss him into, I guess, the strongest speakers in the history of music. That these two speakers were enough to get the entire arena going music-wise. That as soon as they were destroyed, all the music was gone.
Listen, this is wrestling shit. You know, this is the kind of shit, you know, you just accept. It's part of the universe.
I had a huge grin on my face as it happened, but how could I not note the ridiculousness of it? But everybody looking good. Samoa Joe absolutely being the savior of the match on multiple occasions, coming in, stopping submissions, stopping pins, stopping team ups, Joe was just absolutely the rock of this team. Kenny was arguably the captain. I mean, I'd say Kenny and Swerve were the captains of the team. But Kenny and Swerve taking the fight to the Bucks. Kenny having a beautiful moment where he hits a picture-perfect moonsault from the crowd, off the steps, onto I guess the Young Bucks, and just production and security in general.
Yeah, a lot of bystanders taking strays in this match.
They had it coming. They were
yeah,
there. They got to
like,
enjoy the match. They take a hit.
Like, you know what? That was just like, you know what? Fuck you. Fuck you for being there. Fuck the next person I come across. They're gonna catch these hands, and then that's just sometimes it's Rick Knox taking a super kick party for no reason other than why would you get in the ring at that point? You know, that's on you, bro. Like,
yeah, absolutely. And it's even better because he is the Bucks paid for referee.
Yeah.
So it's even sillier, but it was just perfect. It was just perfect.
I mean, I love Swerve's the staple spot where he stapled everyone in the most nonchalant way of of course you're gonna catch this. Like,
he was a normal person in a wrestling match, which is the strongest person.
Yeah.
When you are not following the rules of wrestling, you will dominate, and that's exactly what he did. You're going for a super kick.
It's the energy of Samoa Joe's walk away from a dive spot.
Yes.
With the staple gun inside of me. He's like, oh, you're gonna throw me for a pop-up uppercut? No, I'm just gonna staple your bald head, bro. Like, what? I'm sure Ricochet was in the back fucking seething over that shit. But
that was my spot, damn it. That was my spot. It should have been me.
And then to tie back into Marina was the one to staple Swerve. And of course, Swerve has to take it even further. You know, Hangman's not in the match, but he's still in his heart. And Marina staples his tongue. Legit, actually staples it.
And that staple stayed in the tongue for the remainder of the match.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. He had a loaded tongue. He could have licked someone and gotten more out of it. But so good. And you can see, because their camera was right on it, you could see Marina slipping on his tongue because it's a fucking tongue.
Yep.
But she still hit it perfectly dead center. It was so impressive. And it's one of those things where you're explaining it to someone who doesn't watch wrestling, they're disgusted by that. But it's for someone who says, I'm no, he's fine. I would never do it, but he's willing to do it. He seems fine. I'm going to trust that he's fine.
These are consenting adults
doing
exactly what they've always kind of hoped they would be able to do one day.
I was you know what? I think staples are better to take than thumbtacks, I think.
No, I can't. With a staple, it pinches in. With a thumbtack, you could just pull it out. With a staple, you got to be careful how you pull it out.
Yeah, but you don't got to land on the staples. You know what I mean?
God.
It's like getting pricked as opposed to landing on. You know, it's more about how you get them versus, I guess, what's worse. But
I can confidently say I wouldn't want either of them.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'll leave it to the pros. But that was so fun.
This was one of the most fun matches I've seen in a long time. One of the most fun anarchy in the arenas. I think this was the fourth one, they said. And granted, anarchy in the arena and stadium stampedes are kind of interchangeable at this point. I don't think we're ever going to get another stadium stampede.
Yeah,
because
probably not.
The nature of how that match is basically needing to be an empty arena. But I adored this matchup. Everybody looked like a star. Powerhouse Hobbs hitting spine buster after spine buster after spine buster, just absolutely clearing house. Finish coming as Kenny Omega hits a massive one-winged angel from the ramp, taking out one of the Young Bucks as Swerve
in an exploding table to call back to the exploding barbed wire death match.
Yep,
very nice, picture perfect. Looks so good as you were saying. Swerve in the ring is taken care of.
Swerve has sneakers with thumbtacks on the bottom of his shoes, and then he hits a swerve stomp from the top rope, pinning, I believe it was Nicholas Jackson, getting the 1, 2, 3, and bringing the chaos to an end. Now, one bit that I did forget, there was some interference in the match. We didn't get Chris Statlander, but we did get a returning Hook who came to make the save, as I think he took out Claudio.
Yeah, with the golf club.
With the golf club. But as he takes out Claudio, he kind of stares off at Joe and leaves, as Joe is just kind of happy he's there, but Hook leaves. So I think they're going to build up to some tension with the fact that he was gone and Powerhouse Hobbs took his spot. I think that's really, really silly, but
Hey, if you have a problem with the fight Hobbs, Hook, you know?
Hook, take on any one of those members and see how that will go for you. Maybe you'll get through Shibata. Maybe. But no. And then Gabe Kidd, New Japan's Gabe Kidd, who has been an ally to the Death Riders and to Jon Moxley, comes in using the briefcase, takes out multiple members of the team. This was honestly the point where I thought, oh, fuck, the Death Riders are winning this.
Yeah, I thought they were going to win too, honestly.
And takes out multiple members before being countered by a bloodied, hobbling Mark Briscoe, who I was so happy he got to be involved in this.
Yeah, not who I was expecting, but yeah, it was nice.
As somebody who has been consistently fighting the AEW fight and waving the AEW flag, I'm very happy he got to have this moment. So very cool to see that as he helps Team AEW lock the Death Riders in the ambulance from his match earlier, keeping them at bay, allowing
very
Kenny and Swerve to take out the Young Bucks, or I guess the Founding Fathers, because they were never called the Young Bucks tonight. They were Matthew and Nicholas Jackson and the Founding Fathers. They were never the Young Bucks.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
Stick with it the whole time. I love that aspect of it.
I think it would be an interesting way of transitioning away from the name Young Bucks. If they did decide to go with the Founding Fathers, it would be a pretty interesting name.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be hard, and the people always still call them the Young Bucks, but
yeah.
You know, I don't know. I mean, they can't dress like this all the time, but if they wanted to call themselves that, that could work. But I will say I didn't love like the Hook Gabe Kidd aspect of it. I liked Mark Briscoe coming out, but like Gabe Kidd's not really gelling in this for me. But
it's weird because he feels like the perfect apprentice to Jon Moxley, but he doesn't fit the mission statement of AEW, of what the Death Riders are doing, which is trying to make AEW, I guess, technically better in their vision. Gabe Kidd just fucking hates AEW. Like, his character canonically hates AEW.
Which is the only reason it kind of works. But, like, I don't know. Like, I just saw that and I was like, well, okay, but he's not in the match. And then it's like I don't know. Like, I didn't love it. I don't have too much analysis, unfortunately. It's just, I was like, okay, Gabe Kidd's here now. I guess this is where the bad guys win.
The person you said it's not who I was expecting when it was Mark Briscoe. Were you expecting either Eddie Kingston or Darby Allin? Who were you expecting?
Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, I think Eddie would have, like, I'm very happy for Mark. I really thought it was going to be Eddie Kingston too, especially because it's Gabe Kidd who took out Eddie Kingston.
I forgot who said it, but I saw someone say, like, he's like, I saw just like a bloody, dirty body run out, and I thought it was Eddie Kingston, who hasn't changed since last Anarchy in the Arena. Like, he's just coming down to set someone on fire again.
My God.
I was like, oh, like, I didn't have high hopes that he would come back, but once Gabe Kidd was there, I was kind of like, just in the moment, I was like, oh, maybe he will, even though we don't know the timeline on his, like.
Apparently, the latest reports I'm hearing are that when he went to the doctor last, they said May would be the time of his return. So we are there. I could see it coming in the next couple of weeks. I think no matter what, I think All In will be Eddie Kingston versus Gabe Kidd. No matter how we get there, I think that's the matchup. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see what happens, but we got to wrap it up with this. Yeah. But this match was fantastic. So much fun. Go out of your way to watch any part of this match. You will not regret it.
There were 4 wrestling pay-per-views this weekend, 3 of which we're covering. There were 4 wrestling pay-per-views this weekend. If you're going to watch anything, watch Anarchy in the Arena. And that's saying something because I have nothing but love for the main event, which we haven't gotten to yet. So watch Anarchy in the Arena. Moving forward to the most thankless position any match could have had. We had the Don Callis family which was Josh Alexander, Konosuke Takeshita, and who was the third? Kyle Fletcher. My God, that is a powerhouse team. Josh Alexander, Kyle Fletcher, and Konosuke Takeshita taking on the worst named team in AEW, the Paragon.
I don't understand why they're called that.
It doesn't suit them. Whatever. Adam Cole, the TNT champion, teaming up with Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. God bless them. They really did deliver a great Dynamite main event. It just sandwiched in between Anarchy in the Arena and the main event that was Will Ospreay versus Hangman Adam Page. This was never going to stand a chance. To their credit, they did get the crowd into it by the midway to near end point of the matchup, but there was just the energy. The crowd needed to recover. And they definitely did in this matchup. The finish of the match coming as I actually don't fully remember. Oh yeah, it was Adam Cole delivering the boom to Kyle Fletcher, standing tall. No, they lost. Right? They did lose. I'm sorry. The match was fine. I promise, guys, the match was fine. It's just there was so much that happened. Kyle O'Reilly losing to Kyle Fletcher after a massive brain buster that Fletcher almost kind of didn't have him all the way, but then powered through. After getting the win, the Don Callis family being flanked now and joined by the Murder Hawk monster Lance Archer and Don Callis himself are storming the ring, beating them up. Did Roppongi Vice come out? They did.
Yes.
Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta joining in on the beatdown. As the beatdown is continuing, music plays, and we get not only Brody King and Tomohiro Ishii, we get the ace himself, Hiroshi Tanahashi, who hobbled his way down to the ring, but still managed to hit a really good sling blade. I don't know how this man did it. He looked like he could not walk under his own power to the ring. But when it came time to hitting the sling blade, it looked great.
Well, once he leaves his feet, he's all good. Everything works fine.
There you go. He's an airbender. Having taken out the bad guys, the good guys, led by the president of New Japan, just celebrating in the ring, getting us ready for the main event.
Yes. Thankless spot.
Yep.
I didn't really watch this match because I literally was like, I need to go to sleep I can't watch this. I need the main event. I can't, and it's not their fault.
Nope.
But I will say, unrelated, Kyle O'Reilly is like one really good, serious story away from being in like the Mark Briscoe like territory for me. Like he's that type of guy, but like he's not put in that position.
He's so likable. He's so naturally likable.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. He also got really hurt by how long he was away.
Yeah, he got really hurt by being really hurt. Yeah. But he could be one of those guys to me, and it's I don't want to dwell on this. But please move on to the main event. These poor guys had a terrible spot, but you know what? Once their story continues on Dynamite and Collision, it's going to be great. But
Absolutely.
Just here, they were set up to fail.
Yeah. Moving on, we have the finale of the men's Owen Hart Cup tournament.
The main character versus the main character.
Yep. Hangman Adam Page versus Will Ospreay. Both men coming out to sort of narrated promos of what their experience has been and what they're fighting for here. Hangman talking about needing to win the World Championship once again to redeem himself. And Will Ospreay reiterating what he told Hangman the other week on Dynamite, that this isn't about Hangman's redemption. This is about Will Ospreay's ascension. Still a goddamn great line.
Such a money fucking line.
Right?
Of course it was in the entrance. Like that's how good of a line it was.
It was so good that I didn't mind it being repeated. That's how you know you've got a great line. I don't know how to properly talk about this match other than to say it was two expert chess players going back and forth.
Yeah.
These were two brilliant, brilliant performers, two brilliant wrestlers. The future of AEW, just going back and forth, delivering a masterclass on, like, I'm struggling here, but just a masterclass on reversals, a masterclass on dodging, which is my favorite thing in professional wrestling. I love seeing guys dodge a move more than I like seeing somebody reverse a move. I don't care. I prefer it. This was a finisher fest by the back end, and I'm A-okay with it. There were table spots. There was everything in this matchup. Will Ospreay hitting almost every move he has in his arsenal. Hitting blades, Oz cutters, storm breakers. I don't think he ever landed the Tiger Driver.
I don't believe so either.
I don't think he ever hit the Tiger Driver. Hangman hitting multiple buckshot lariats, multiple dead eyes, multiple everything that he had in his arsenal to finally get the win over Will Ospreay in an epic match. That's greatest sin was that it still had to follow Anarchy in the arena.
I'm be honest with you. I actually think it's fine that it did. I think it had the weight to it to follow it. I think the special entrances with the videos helped. It really gave it this main event feel and this level of importance that I think main events should warrant. I think Ospreay has been utilizing that for all of his pay-per-view entrances lately. This isn't the first time. This is probably third or fourth time in the past 5 pay-per-views he's done this sort of thing. But Ospreay, for all of his faults, which is just mainly being British, he structures matches really well. Where if you get past the very, I think very hollow criticisms he gets about his wrestling style, you realize he does have good psychology and structure matches well. And what did he say on this go home promo with Hangman? This is gonna meet me in the desert for a shootout. And then what happened when Hangman was gonna go for a buckshot? He was like, I'm just gonna hit with the hidden blade first. So it literally was like a shootout where it's like, okay, we both have our weapons drawn. I know I'm gonna land my shot first.
And we've seen Will do this before. He did the shootout with Bryan Danielson before. He did the shootout before, and I think in both instances he won the shootout. So him here was a great touch.
Yeah, it was, and it was so good. And that's the beauty about Hangman's finisher, is that it's so counterable in so many good ways. Like it's almost a perfect finish because he can hit it on anybody. It looks good. It looks like a finisher, and it's so reversible that,
and all it is a fucking clothesline. Like it's a beautiful clothesline with bells and whistles, but he's so good that he made a clothesline so good.
Yeah. And hell, what is Ospreay's is an elbow to the head. For all the over the top moves you see in AEW, a lot of the finishers are just I'm literally just gonna hit you with granted, Ricochet's doing the inverse of it. I don't like it either. I thought it was just for the Ospreay feud. I was like, okay, fine, but now he's just using it to win it. I'm like,
it's just a really low impact clothesline.
But it's fine because everything else Ricochet's doing is perfect. So we let it go. But
it's almost better with how much I don't like it.
Yeah, kind of. He's making it work, but this match had so much weight to it that just talking about how the moves were great, which they were, isn't enough because Will said, he's like, do I have to be the bad guy to get that version of you out? Is that the only way to get the version of you that can beat Moxley out? And if I could beat that version, then I can beat Moxley because I haven't been able to beat him. I think they both did a really good job of literally putting over Moxley. Like, I think they've done more for the Death Rider story without being directly, even though Hangman was involved in the beginning, but like,
And Will
you know,
too, to an extent.
I mean, yeah, I guess in the C2, he was like, I need to focus on myself first before I get to them.
Yeah.
But like, you know, that's fine because he had that match with Darby that I still think about a lot. But
Good one. Good one.
it was. But like, you know, they really elevated where it's like it's a must. Like they have their personal reasons for wanting it, but then there's literally like they want to defeat the bad guy.
Yep.
You know, and
they want to be the hero. They, for different reasons, they both want to be the savior.
Yeah. And they're both the best two guys who have been in this position where it's like Hangman's we keep calling him the main character, but like he kind of is the main character of AEW, at least the first half of its existence. And you know, what better? And then Will's the guy where it's like, of course, like this guy, we knew he was eventually going to come, and then he would be like the top guy. And we keep thinking it's coming, and it hasn't come yet, which I actually think is a credit to AEW and to Ospreay.
I think so too.
I think it's a great practice of patience, so that let's say Ospreay wins next year, it's going to feel all the more better, and not in like a Cody Roman way, but just in like a let's not hot shot it way. Let's build to it. So this match going in, it's like it could be either guy. I would say I was maybe 60-40 leaning towards Ospreay winning, but like I wanted Hangman.
I was the opposite. I was 60-40 Hangman.
Okay, but you wanted Hangman? Like
I would have been happy no matter what because I love both of these guys, but I was 60-40 thinking it would be Hangman, and I was probably 70-30 wanting it to be Hangman.
I would say I was about that too, yeah.
Just because as much as I love Will, and I really do, he doesn't need to win the title. We want him to win the title, and I think arguably the title needs him to win it sooner than later. But I think Hangman, for this story to go the way it needs to go, I think he needs the title more than Will does. And granted, there's a very compelling argument that his story might be more satisfying without the title, but I think he needs the redemption. I think he needs the redemption.
I think he does too, and I think the people saying the Hangman doesn't need the title for his story. Shut up. I want to say, like, just shut up. I don't think you're making the point you think you are. Like, yes, ultimately his story needs resolution with Swerve, but I promise you the end of that story being them teaming up to have like fought the Young Bucks would not have been good enough.
Yeah.
Him, because go back to the beginning of their feud. Swerve just wanted Hangman's top spot. So what better way for Hangman to redeem himself than by becoming the top guy again and then resolving things with Swerve?
And it goes into more than just Swerve wanting Hangman's top spot. Swerve's whole point was that Hangman didn't want the top spot enough.
Yeah.
That Hangman had grown complacent, he had grown compliant, and he wasn't fighting for it anymore. That the only reason he was getting opportunities was because he was being given opportunities. So now for him to claw and fight and realize how desperately he needs to be champion, I think that's a great, again, full circle moment. Almost to the point that I'm going to be disappointed if Swerve doesn't help him win the title.
And I think he will, 100%. Yeah. This is, look, and we can fantasy book, and like, we'll do it to an extent where we're not going to be pissed if they don't do exactly what we think. Yeah. But I think a lot of people, and I'm going to put myself in this camp, expect it to be, I guess, WrestleMania 40-ish, a little end game-ish of, you know, I expect Darby to show up. I do. I expect Darby's thing to be helping in this situation, not to be the guy to dethrone Mox. I think Swerve is going to help. I think Kenny would also be a nice touch of, like, you know, someone else important from Hangman's past.
I agree.
You know, I
think depends on how involved the Bucks get. You know, I think it depends on how involved the Elite get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just think that's the best way to do it. Especially it helps and Brian if he's going to ever come out of death and make an appearance. But I think it shadows last year nicely where Hangman came out but didn't do anything. If Swerve comes out but then actually does something to help Hangman, I think that'll be a really nice moment for them. I just wanted real quick to our comments. Hangman versus Swerve could easily headline next year's All In as well. Now, honestly, yeah,
why not?
it could. That's the beauty of it, is that there's so many possibilities, and like it feels like guys are close to being top guys.
My only issue is I don't necessarily need Hangman to hold the title for a year.
I don't think you will, but like you never know.
Yeah.
But he also said the surprise ending helped it be in the main event. Yeah, that's another thing, is like having a match where you truly don't know who's gonna win as a main event is always a good thing. Christopher Leclerc's birthday is next Monday. Happy future birthday. That's awesome. Hope you have a giant cake. Ospreay versus Styles, let's go.
We're all waiting for it.
We're all waiting for it. It probably will never happen, but like, come on, AJ, just be a beast, bro. Just like, look, you've had an unbelievable
sign a 1-year contract. Just a 1-year contract. Give us Kenny, give us Ospreay, give us Swerve, and give us Joe. That's it.
Yeah, honestly, like, it's just so good. And that's another thing with this match, is that there was a lot of it kind of turns out to be like TNA references, because like the Christopher Daniels spots, the AJ Styles spots, and then the important thing, which we kind of overlooked, was Swerve hitting big pressure, like Swerve's Hangman hitting Swerve's move.
Yeah, Hangman, I said Ospreay. Yeah.
It's very, very nice. The fact that he actually went there and hit his move, which is, again, just a nice way of pushing that story forward. I don't think we get All In without these two interacting multiple times on screen. I don't think the show ends without them interacting on that show.
Yeah.
To the point where I could see the show ending with like Hangman holding up the title and Swerve just like outside the ring or something. Just giving him a nod of approval, like
I agree.
Just exchanging because it's Hangman, so it's going to be a look. He's going to look at somebody, and
it's going to be cinema. It's going to be cinema.
And that's the thing. I hate that word, because there's a lot of words I hate because of wrestling fans, and that is one of them. Yeah. But Hangman is so good with facial expressions and subtleties, and he's so good at showing instead of telling. That will literally be resolution for thousands of people who have been so invested in this story, that they will see that and be like, I am at peace now, because I can see that Hangman is at peace, even though he didn't say a fucking word. It's so good. You can't go to All In Texas and not have the Cowboy in the main event. I can't see that comment in my things.
Eric saying he just hopes that the Bucks help Hangman win. No comment after that, clarifying that he actually meant to say don't. That did not happen. Eric is simply saying he hopes the Bucks help Hangman.
I think he means he hopes that they don't help him win, because
I don't think that's true. I think he meant exactly what he said, and he's just going to have to live with that comment forever.
All right, that's fine. I mean, I wouldn't want that. I don't want them like.
Yeah. I need them to stay bad guys. They should stay bad guys.
Yeah. Even though their involvement in Hangman's first title win was perfect. Again, the look, the nod, very Hangman-ish. Even though he was the one receiving the nod this time, unless they are there to be foiled by a returning, or by Kenny's involvement, or by like whoever, keep him out of there. It's just a perfect ending to the show. You just feel for Hangman. He's such a easy guy. And then you see Ospreay devastated, that they have a beautiful camera shot. It's like the WrestleMania 39 one with Cody and Roman in the background. But one key thing I liked more so in this one is that Hangman was in focus, even though he was in the background. No man was blurred. And then he came back. They have the respect moment. I think Ospreay also might help too. Yeah. Like, that's the thing. This could really be, it's more endgame-ish at this point, where it's like everyone coming out. I just want a happy ending at All In.
And it's bigger too than say 40, because with 40, Roman just had a few supporters left. He had Jimmy, he had Solo, and then of course The Rock. But here,
very reluctant supporter,
right here, if they go all out with it, you have the Death Riders and the Elite versus the major baby faces of AEW.
Yeah,
And it could be like an all-out war on the outside, just leaving Moxley and Hangman to finish things in the ring.
yeah. Honestly, man, part of me I want to go. I kind of want to go now.
Right. All right. I'm letting you know. There are preliminary discussions amongst people that I care about taking this trip. If you are interested in going, I will happily include you in these plans.
All right. Just give me some updates, and then
right.
I'm really considering it. But Maria, what's
What's up, Maria? How are you?
What's going on?
You are here at a normal time. We started early because we're about a day or two late to come.
Yeah, we're late. We're also doing this during Raw, which is kind of funny, but
I mean, I guarantee you we're probably more entertaining.
I mean, Raw is the best of the WWE shows currently, but
how sad is that?
Not really. I feel like it's always. I hate SmackDown. I've always hated SmackDown. So actually, fuck SmackDown.
When you were a kid, were you Team SmackDown or Team Raw?
Raw all the time.
See, I watched both, but I was Team SmackDown.
No, I was never like, maybe like, and don't get me wrong, I love the 2016 SmackDown like little resurgence, but like even that was like, come on, like it was cool because we had like Styles, Ambrose, and Cena fighting for the title. Thank you, Maria. We appreciate it. This is better than Raw. Look, there's like 3 things I like on Raw, and like every week I just pray that they're in the first hour, and then I turn the show off. I was like, please send out Becky and Lyra. Please, if there's gonna be a Punk promo, do it in the beginning. And then even then, I'm like, some of those promos are just not hitting lately for me. But we'll talk. We have to talk about that. That's the thing, Maria. Like, we've talked so much about AEW, and this is technically supposed to cover both companies or all 3 companies in this way. But like, you give us your thoughts on this show, because
what did you think of AEW Double or Nothing, Maria? Before we head over, we're going to start talking about Saturday night's main event and NXT/TNA's Battleground.
Yeah. Okay, look, we didn't plan out the complete format of this, but can we just cherry pick the NXT stuff? Like,
oh no, yeah, we're going to be cherry picking a lot from the other 2 shows.
Yeah.
But just final thoughts on Double or Nothing. I thought this was a very strong pay-per-view. I don't think it was the best pay-per-view of the year. Sorry, Eric. But
no, I think Revolution was always going to be hard to top in that regard.
But this had some great, incredible high spots between the main event, Anarchy in the Arena, and the women's matches.
Yeah, and Okada's best AW match, Fun Ambulance.
Yep.
Literally, the only problem with this show is it went to the old AEW way of being just a tad too long.
Yeah.
Literally, you cut 2 matches, the show's perfect.
Oh, Maria saying Double or Nothing was the best pay-per-view of the year. I mean, hey, if you enjoyed it, you enjoy. Like, we enjoyed it. We really enjoyed it. But I think we're still edging out Revolution.
I just slightly, I put Revolution a little above. Even with the bad ending, it's still a little bit above. But just a tad. Yeah, just a tad. Just a tad.
Just a smidge. A smidge even.
Yeah, just a chat above. A chat above the rest. But great show. Maria, continue giving your thoughts on it, as unfortunately we're gonna have to move on.
But yeah, well, we'll when your comment comes in, we'll talk about it. But we are gonna,
because we'd rather talk about
it. Yeah, no, seriously. Moving on to WWE, we're gonna go in chronological order here. We'll go with Saturday night's main event first. You know what? I got to give it to Maria. She has been calling it. She has been waving the flag for weeks and weeks and weeks. that it would be Mercedes Moné versus Toni Storm at All In. She was rooting for Mercedes Moné. She wants it to be Mercedes Moné. And as she says in this comment, her CEO did it, and now we are headed to All In for the women's championship.
I mean, it's the biggest match in the women's division's history. The build-up's going to be amazing. I have complete faith in it. I think the match is going to be a blow-away performance. Fantastic. Will Ospreay versus Hangman, one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. Perfect blend of amazing wrestling and strong emotional story beats. It was a perfect storm. It literally could not have missed. Like the table broke underneath them. It made the match better. It literally made it like oh my god, these guys, it's such a struggle that the table couldn't even like.
Do you think he needed to hit the buckshot after? Not the buckshot, the dead eye after? Because he hits it again on the down table. Did you think he needed to do that, or
I think that was a good touch.
I thought it was fun. He was like, "I'm gonna hit it no matter fucking what."
Yeah, you know what? It probably hurts more because there's no give. There's no give of the table hitting it.
100%. And we're saying Will Ospreay versus Hangman match of the year by far for her, so that's good. Eric saying he still wishes.
100% agree. Yeah, 100% agree.
He still wishes the women main evented Revolution because now when it doesn't main event All In, it'll be a sour, even though it's a bigger match. Do I absolutely agree that Toni Storm versus Mercedes is the biggest women's match the company could put on right now? Yes. Do I think, though, that it's bigger than Hangman dethroning Moxley? I don't think so.
No, but that's why I really wish that Tony and Mariah main evented Revolution. That was the easiest layup, and you know what? It'll honestly, I don't even think them. Whatever, we'll see what happens. But I agree with Eric here. I completely agree. Literally, Revolution is perfect if that main events, as opposed to it just being 95% amazing. But anyway, I agree.
I guess the Saturday night main event.
Fine.
Show.
The tag match.
The show. And my issue with Saturday night. What happened?
Oh, nothing. No, go ahead.
Oh, I lost you there. My issue with Saturday night's main event is that it is a glorified house show.
You're a glorified house show.
I think the most notable. Ouch, but true. I think the most notable thing that's happened on Saturday night's main event in years is Chelsea Green becoming the inaugural women's U.S. champion. And even then, a title only changed hands because it was vacant already. So otherwise, I don't think we're ever going to get a title change on Saturday night's main event. I don't think we're ever going to get anything major on Saturday night's main event. And it should be used as a nice midway point between pay-per-views. And they did kind of use it as that, but it was not fulfilling in any real way.
No, and like, I don't need titles to change hands per se. The matches just have to feel important enough. And I don't think besides the tag match that any of these hit that mark.
Yeah.
I think the tag match could have been on any pay-per-view and probably steals the show on any of the WWE PLEs. Everything else on this, though, I'd be pissed if it was on a pay-per-view. I'd be like, or not, I wouldn't be pissed if Zelina Vega versus Chelsea Green was on a pay-per-view. I'd be pissed if it was the only women's match on the pay-per-view. But like, you know, like, okay. Because I want to, the tag match was really good. I assume we have to talk about Cena's match for some reason. I have nothing major to say about the U.S. title match for the women. I love Chelsea. I like Zelina Vega. We just saw that's literally the person who dethroned her. Fine, you give her the rematch. But like, it just feels like the division has no direction. Whereas, like, remember when the champions were crowned and it was like, oh man, the IC title has no direction. There's like nothing going on for it. How crazy the tides have turned and how much bigger Lyra's reign feels than the whole entire like SmackDown women's division at this point. But like, you know, there's not much to say on that. Selena botched the 619. I don't care. It's fine. Her 619 doesn't look good, so I don't care that she botched it anyway. Like that, I'm not gonna harp on someone for that. Like it doesn't matter. Like it happens.
Ray has he hasn't done it a lot, but he's absolutely whacked people in the face before.
Yeah, and he botches a good amount. And guess what? Dominic's also, his looks bad too. No one's looks good except for Ray's and maybe like
Claudio.
Yeah, but because it's not fast, but it looks because he's bigger. It looks like it hits hard.
Claudio's because someone of his shape and size should not be able to hit it at all.
Yeah, and because he looks like he plays soccer because he's European. But that's whatever. The Logan Paul Jey Uso match, also have nothing to say. It literally sounds like torture to me. I'm gonna be completely honest up front. I didn't watch any of it. Not a single fucking second.
I get it.
If we can talk about what happened after the match. But Logan Paul was a nice novelty at first. I got on board with it jokingly because he's a terrible person. I wish the worst for him. But as far as like celebrities coming in, he was in that Bad Bunny category of putting in the work. Yeah. And he still does put in the work, but he's just, the novelties wore off and he's just kind of there. I'm like,
overstayed his welcome.
You're actually not that good. You're not better than actual wrestlers. And like you don't cut good promos. So what's the appeal anymore? Like, you're not bringing in really many more viewers. It doesn't seem like you don't hear about it, which I feel like if he did, they would never shut the fuck up about it. So I kind of don't have much to say about that. I will say the tag match, delightful, because CM Punk and Sami Zayn are fantastic at structuring matches. So is Seth Rollins, and Braun Breaker is good at hitting his spots so well, and he's going to be amazing one day when he's like a top guy in a few years. But this match was a lot of fun. First of all, what did you think of the match? But most importantly, the heels obviously pick up the win, but they do so with the assist of Big Bronson Reed making his return and joining Seth Rollins' faction. So what do you think about that, if that's the talking point you really want to stick with?
That is the talking point of the match. The match itself was absolutely fine. Like nothing, it happened.
I thought it was good. I thought it was a good match.
I don't have a bad thing to say about the match, but I can also say I don't think there's that much that was memorable about the match outside of the Bronson Reed appearance.
But I just think it had that old school like perfect big tag match main event feel.
Yes.
Remember when Raws used to be main evented by tag matches that were just two of the biggest single stories combining? Yep. And it felt good. Like that was like good times. It kind of had that feel to it, and that's why I liked it so much. But I agree that it's not like nothing crazy to like nothing super noteworthy besides a run it. But what do you think about Bronson being part of this?
I think the best part about Bronson being a part of this is that it's not Sammy that's a part of it.
I think the best part about Bronson being a part of this is not Austin Theory being a part of this.
All right, also true.
I think the people that said they wanted it to be Austin Theory shouldn't be allowed to vote or drive cars.
So I didn't want it to be Austin Theory, but that's just because I think it would have been so shoehorned in. It's not that I don't want good things to vote or drive cars. It's not that I don't want.
It would feel safer if they weren't allowed to do this.
It's not that I don't want good things for Theory. I just don't think that this is the thing for Theory. I think there is something else that will be good for Theory somewhere else. But
like the Speed Championship or
God,
something.
man. Did he like piss in your Cheerios or something?
No, I just hate that people hyped him up like he was going to be the next. I don't think anybody likes him. I think people just are brainwashed to. They see what WWE likes.
The way. We liked NXT's The Way, and we liked him in it.
Okay, but you gotta let that go. That was like 8 years ago at this point.
But no, I'm happy for Bronson Reed because, quite frankly, there are a plethora of big men right now in WWE. Bronson Reed, Jacob Fatu. Now that group also has JC Mateo, which is
terrible name, but
thank you, terrible name. There are a lot of big guys out there. So for him to have established himself as the heavy of a group, it's a good way to not be forgotten. It's a good way not to be overlooked. So I am happy for him in that regard. He is a great talent. What he does well. So I think it's an interesting dynamic. Seth has surrounded himself with powerful young guys, or at the very least, powerful guys. So I buy these two as his heavies. I buy these two as his weapons. So I like that. I still feel like the group is missing one. I think I'm a big 4-person group person. I prefer quads to trios, but I could not tell you who the fourth man would be in any situation here. But we'll see. I thought this was fine. I thought this was really good, and I am intrigued where this group goes next.
I mean, I think they're the main reason why Raw is so much better than SmackDown. Granted, it was already better before them, but like now that's like one of the most must-see things in WWE. Like, it's weird. I think WWE overall is suffering from like, and maybe this is just me and my lame ass like wokeness, but like the men are so boring in WWE lately. It's like nothing. And besides what Seth is doing right now, it's like there's nothing to sink my teeth into. Whereas like the women's division on Raw, at least, is on fire. You got Io Sky's champ. You got Lyra fucking put in the work of her career. You got heel Becky. Literally made everyone wake up to the fact that Lyra is a fucking beast.
Yep.
And can be that girl. You know, like it's so much more exciting. And then I watch like, who is the men's Intercontinental champion right now?
That's a great question.
I'm not even doing this on purpose. I am blanking so hard.
So
it's not Sheamus.
Braun Breaker lost it to
someone. Oh, Dominic. Okay, never mind. Sorry, Dom.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dom. Dom's doing great stuff.
And he's bigger than the title.
Yeah, he's also part of the women's division, so like it's a little tough. It's hard to remember him as the men's champion when he is the women's champion, in fact, but or at least the women's championship. But like, you know, I'm like, I kind of, the Judgment Day is the Judgment Day. Everyone's sick of the Judgment Day. I don't mind it. I just don't want to vocalize it because I'm like, I'll just let everyone be like, I'm not going to fight the fight.
I don't
Judgment
care.
Day.
Exactly. I am not dying on the hill that is Judgment Day.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck, we love a company that exists because Bullet Club overstayed its welcome. You know, like who are we? If they want to have their Bullet Club that the Judgment Day is around 10 years from now with none of the original members, that'd be great. I would love that for them. You know, like fucking fine, do it. Like they're all in a different company. And like, no, it's still Judgment Day. And they could do a video. It's like, yeah, Edge used to be a part of this group. Like, Edge, the guy who retired 8 years ago? What? That's great. Like, let him do it. But like, I my disconnect is so huge between like women's wrestling and WWE and men's.
Yeah.
But then the Seth stuff is really the only thing drawing me in. Like, I'm a Cody fan. But like, what's he doing? He's literally going to team up with the 3 worst parts of the men's division, at the next pay-per-view. No offense I know you're a big Jey Uso, Logan Paul guy, but don't
even joke about Logan Paul. Like Jey Uso, sure, I'll go with the gag. I can't even jokingly support Logan Paul.
Sorry, now I know where the line is. Finally,
I will support the guy who has a DUI. I will not support Logan Paul.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So like, that's why I latched onto this tag match so much, because it's like, well, the SmackDown's women's division isn't doing much for me. I'm interested in Julia being there, but like, they got Charlotte, who I don't like. They got Nia, who is like, I think finally like cooling off after her really white hot comeback and like the solid year she had. I think she's finally like, plateauing and like coming back down to earth. And like, I think the Naomi Jade stuff was so good, and just now it's like, why, like, move on? Like, why is this stop? Everything on SmackDown is kind of like, why?
I think the issue with WWE in general, even to an extent with the women, but definitely not as harshly, is that there is an air of staleness.
Yeah. Oh my God. Which is fine. Like, it's the time of year where they always have the Pulse-Mania low, but like they were so white hot that it felt like they could do nothing wrong. Now they're finally just like leveling out from that, where it's like, this is still better than 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just Eric. Funny though. Hangman is who WWE wants Cody to be. Kind of. I mean, no, they definitely want Cody because there's no nuance to. They don't like nuance in their top baby faces. That's why Roman was nuanced as a heel, and then when he turned face, he's literally a generic fucking character who's not changed or evolved in any way because they want their top faces to be nuanceless and be vessels to spew company lines and rhetoric, which Cody excels at, and he's my favorite of those vessels. He speaks the most like a human being to me. So like he's still my favorite of that, but like, they would hate if Cody was more like Hangman because they'd be like, this is above our, like we can do people standing in the background of other shots. That's our specialty. Like that's where we excel. But like, I don't know how they wouldn't know what to do there. Meanwhile, Rollins kind of face burn. I'm sure he did. Rollins is another weird case, but I still think he's doing some of his best work right now. But
I agree.
There's a weird jarring
nature. Rollins at his best when he's a maniacal bad guy who thinks he's the good guy.
Yeah. But that's the problem is like he's also feuding with people who aren't there all the time. So it's like, yeah, actually you kind of sound like the good guy because like Roman Reigns is never there and Punk is there like mostly 40-50%. He's like 60% of the time maybe, but like there are a lot of weeks. Like I get it in that regard. But anyway, what else do you want to talk about on the show? Do you want to comment on Logan Paul versus Jey Uso? Because I don't. Or do you want to just talk about the guy whose merch you have on?
I mean, I don't think we can talk about Uso and Logan without talking about my merch, man. I'll be quick. I'll be very quick. Cena versus R-Truth. No idea why it wasn't a title match. Like, I don't care one way or the other, but we knew Cena was going to win no matter what. So why not just call it a title match? Just say Cena, unless you don't want it to seem like Cena has too many defenses for some reason. But felt like a weird move to me. The match was, I think, 5 minutes. Maybe
4 minutes too long.
Like, we get it. At this point, there's no hiding the fact that Cena is being very physically protected, probably for insurance reasons. But, like, it's making me sad. It's making me very sad. I'll be very honest, and I know I'm in the minority on this, even though my guy would have won. I did not care about the thought of Cena versus Punk at Money in the Bank. I understand it for the nostalgia. I appreciate it for, like, that full circle, like, going back to that. I wasn't clamoring for it, but the thought of what we're getting currently is nonsense. Cena and Logan Paul versus Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes is nonsense.
Can I just say that's my least favorite match of the year before it's even happened?
Like, they're picking the one pay-per-view that they can get away with it because Money in the Bank, the focus is always going to be on the Money in the Bank matches.
And I've noticed that, but like they're really leaning into that these past couple of years. Like last year, it was the same. It was a tag match too, where I'm like, bro, just do it also because the best show you've ever put on had both Money in the Bank ladder matches and an important title match. Like changed the company history. Like I agree though, I didn't need Punk versus Cena at Money in the Bank, especially because obviously Cena would win, and I don't want him to ever get that win back. But more importantly,
he got the win back. He got the win back. Monday Night Raw going into WrestleMania.
No, it's a different win. It's not the same. It's not. It's literally
Money in the Bank win.
Yeah, it's literally. It was like whoever wins this match gets to have a shitty match at WrestleMania. Like cool. Yeah, Cena won. But, no, I didn't want it because it would be too soon. Where, like, I don't believe Punk could win. And meanwhile, I never will think he would be the one to dethrone Cena.
Yeah.
But if you do it later, it at least feels like we
There's
know
more of a
Cena.
chance.
I think Cena has to lose before the last match because
I agree.
it's going to be a disaster otherwise. But like, if you do it later, it's like, okay, maybe Punk will be the one. Whereas, like, doing that Money in the Bank's like, it's literally just for the sake. Yeah, where I'm like, I don't want that. Like, that's a gratuitous level of fan service where I'm like, no, I'm actually glad that. But what we're getting instead is so much worse that I don't want to defend them in this situation because I'm like, this is fucking dog shit. One, look, I know that's your guy. I know you love him. He sucks. He's so bad. He's like the worst, bro. He's so bad at everything. Wrestling. This heel turn has been, you know what? I guess we all owe you guys and you few Cena fans an apology. He should have always been a face because he's so bad at being a heel. Turns out it's so bad.
I knew what I was fighting for.
You might as well have just gone home happy and had him be a face.
But you know what's crazy? When they initially wanted to turn him heel in that feud with The Rock, I think what he could have turned into as that heel would have been great.
Oh, it would have been amazing.
But this is fantastic. He's just not a good guy here. Like, there's nothing that, like, I don't want to say there's nothing that makes him a bad guy, but there's nothing that makes him being a bad guy exciting here.
There's nothing that makes him a human being. That's why he's such a robot, dude. It feels like he's almost like phoning it in like Okada style, but without any of the substance that you get at the end of an Okada match. None of the comedic shit you get from current day Okada. Like, it's literally just, I'm like, who is this for? And then there's the dumbest people on the planet who are saying, oh, he said he was going to ruin wrestling, so of course it's bad. Shut the fuck up. Again,
these are the non-voters.
Sell your car immediately. Please sell your car. You know what? I would say drop out of school, but actually double down. Take twice as many classes, please. Like, no. You look. There is no reason that you should have a bad guy who makes the show worse. That's not how it works. Okay, I get it. We're at Walking Dead levels of sunken cost fallacy where we're never going to turn away because we can't help ourselves. We have to see it through. But the thing we're seeing through never ends. So it's just endless. Like, so there's no reason that the show should be bad. Because it doesn't make anything good or worth it. What's the point? The point is that when Cody wins it back, the show will be good again. Why couldn't the show be good the whole time? Like, what the fuck?
But you know whose fault this is. You know whose fault this really is.
Yours? I don't know whose fault is that. I don't know who we're talking about.
It's fault.
Oh, 100%.
It finally happened. You guys got me to be mad at The Rock.
I hate The Rock. Like, I love The Rock, the character. I love The Rock, the wrestler. I will talk endless amounts of shit and then pop for him if I'm in the building when he appears as a hypocrite. God damn, bro. Like, he is the best case scenario of like a delusional celebrity where I'm like, I don't think he's a bad person. I think he's an overall probably a really good guy. But like, he's so delusional and out of touch.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't live in the real world. Like, he's not a robot. He is an artificial being. Like, I was like, dude, you live in a fantasy world. Like, you don't abide by the rules of reality that we all live by. I'm like, and he's so insecure, as a lot of famous people are, but he is so insecure that I guarantee he's going to throw John, he's going to throw Triple H under the bus, John Cena, Cody Rhodes. He's going to throw all of them under the bus at one point. So he comes out of this looking hands clean. He's like, yeah, I didn't come out of WrestleMania because I didn't think I need to be involved because he heard how much people hated that shit. Now he's probably never going to come back and be involved in this at all because he's like, people don't like it. So I'm not going to put my name in this fucking hat. But what were you going to say?
This was Dwayne's revenge for John calling out his promo on his wrist. This was the long game of him deciding, I'm going to fuck you back. And we're all paying for it.
Yeah. Look, and it doesn't help that all his movies suck. And I will still argue. I think we had a debate once where you're like, you don't even watch the movies. I watched some of them because when I was home injured, and they suck. They all suck.
He's got some good ones. I will say that he's got.
No, he's in good movies where like he's not the main character. But like
that was too far, Maria. That was too far, Maria. No.
Okay. He's a good person version of Hulk Hogan. If Hulk Hogan was a good person, that's kind of what it is. Hulk Hogan's a bad person. But look, he's great in like Get Smart, right? Or like Be Cool, or whichever one he's in, like, where he's like he has a minor role in it.
You can't sit there and say the rundown was bad. You can't.
No, I can't, but that was also like not a that was like number 3 in his arsenal. It's been all downhill since then. It's insane.
He's got other good ones, I swear. I have them on DVD, I promise.
Oh, that's sad. Were you gonna? Did you like San Andreas? What movie are you talking about? Like,
he was very good in Snitch. He was very good in Pain and Gain.
I agree. He was good in Scorpion King.
He was great in Scorpion King, Maria. We're friends again. What did Eric saying? He loved him in the Gosling movie where he died in the first 30 seconds. Which movie is
that? But that's what The Rock should be doing. Like, The Rock he has great comedic chops. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I can't remember the last comedy he did. Was like Baywatch? I don't know, but
that was probably CIA with what's his name, Kevin Hart.
Oh God, I've never watched a Kevin Hart movie. Oh my God, I'd rather.
Yeah, I don't think that's that much.
I'd rather get stapled. But I'm good. That sounds like the worst combination. I would watch them do a 5-minute like interview with the talk show host. They sound like a good combination for that. Because I love Kevin Hart when he's with Conan O'Brien and Ice Cube. That's like somehow one of the funniest combinations of people you can find. That's the only like scenario like Kevin Hart like a lot in. But
when Kevin slapped Rock with the tortilla, that was really great.
Yeah, they're good they're good at joking with each other in real life. On the screen though, I'm good. I'm good. But
fair enough.
Sorry, we got way too far off. But there was just nothing to sink our teeth in the main event. Like, okay, the R-Truth match, I don't like it. I understand there is a dumb section of the fan base that is for. They're for the people who were kids when Cena was the top guy and always loved him, and for grown adults who maybe shouldn't be allowed to drive, who are Cena fans.
I'm a great driver. I swear.
You are. Yeah, you actually are. You're a good driver. But that's for them. And even that, I would say, like, I think they're lying to themselves if they're like they say they like this.
I was happy that it existed, but it could have been and should have been a segment on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, they should have murdered him. Like, just straight up murdered him, and just to the point where like they have to stretcher him out.
Like, the best part about this was Cena putting him through the table in the media scrum. That was the best.
And that was still corny. Like,
yeah. But
like,
it was still the best concept of what they had gone for.
Because it was least violent, which that's all that needed to be was him murdering him, and then Truth just bloody looking up at him like, please don't, and then Cena hesitating before ultimately finishing him off. That's all it needed to be. But instead it was like I forgot who said this again, because I'm terrible at crediting people, but someone said, like, John Cena he's a relic from a different time. Like, and WWE has moved past the only thing Cena excelled at, which were like Finn style booking. Like the WWE, as much as it's still that company in all these ways, the one way it has evolved, it was like Cena is a fish out of water in modern day WWE, where like what he does is it just feels dated. It feels like it's from a different time.
All right, I promise. I'm gonna try to be objective. This isn't me as like a Cena fan who's just trying to blindly defend him.
He says with those
Like-
the merch on.
You
But
can't
no,
see this merch. I think Cena was capable of being a part of what this era of wrestling is. I think Cena was never, ever, obviously, ever going to be the best worker. But we saw that he was more than capable of having great matches if he had the right dance partner. Him versus Bryan was great. Him versus Punk was great. Him versus Kevin Owens was great. He had what?
You know, like I don't want to be like, because it takes two to tango, but like those are the three. Of course, you know, like.
My point is, like, we've seen all three of those guys have clunkers with other people who aren't capable of keeping up with them. We've seen all three.
Brian's never had a clunker. Brian's clunkers are still like my favorite match on the show.
That's fair. He made big cast matches somehow watchable.
He did. Kevin Owens did. Like, there's the famous thing. The anti-chemistry they had. Yeah.
He had a great match. He was able to pull out a great match out of Shinsuke.
Hey, that was 2017 Shinsuke. That guy still tried.
But my point is, we know that Cena is capable of being one half of a great matchup. I think the reality is, though, this run should have happened 3 years ago, because now we're at a Cena who, I guess for legal reasons, can't take a real bump. And whether or not he's capable of working our match or not, we just can't see it. We've had 2 5-minute match. No, he only had the one really 5-minute match. But like, it's very clear he's being super protected. The match with Cody, even I could admit how awful that fucking match was. And it was because it was all smoke and mirrors to protect him from really getting hurt or from doing anything.
I was so disappointed in that match.
And I'm fine with smoke and mirrors if the smoke and mirrors put on a fun puppet show.
Yeah, it was a great theme song. I agree.
But we're just not getting that. I have a feeling, I really do, that we're going to get one really good match out of Cena in this run. But that's me more being the optimistic person that I said I was trying not to be. Yeah, I think he is capable. I really do. I don't think John Cena the person isn't capable. I think the fact that John Cena the person is having to deal with outside bullshit, like being forced to turn heel because The Rock couldn't get his way. I think John Cena having to deal with the fact that he's got this insurance shit getting in the way. Like, I think all of these things are stopping him from having the retirement run that could have been great.
And let me just say that 2 members of our pod do work in the movie business and are at least privy to some of this stuff and how it works. So when he says that, James does know what he's talking about with the whole insurance thing. So he is knowledgeable on the subject. And I do agree with you that there was a time where Cena would have made that work and would have fit in. I do agree with that because I love to shit on Cena. It's how I was able to watch wrestling for like the 2010s because that's just how you had to cope. But that's how you had to edge. I'm sorry, but it just like I always admit that, you know, everyone loved the 2015 run. Like everyone loved the US title run because Cena just went out there and was like, all right, I'm gonna wrestle with we had all these great wrestlers. I'm gonna wrestle with them, and like he is capable of it because I think anyone that's there is capable of having really good matches. But like, I do think that the Cena style of match was never good, but when Cena wrestled other people's styles of matches, they were good.
I fully agree with you. Fully agree with you.
Yeah, like I guess, you know what? To give Cena, you know, he had really good matches with Umaga. You know, like I remember those matches.
Yeah.
He had no good matches. One thing I hate is that I can't stand, and I don't like gatekeeping, but part of me thinks it is necessary. Because I want to let the younger generation who's becoming adults now have their voice, and they should be the ones dictating like the narrative. But like they grew up Cena fans, so they don't like. We can't trust them. We can't allow them to vote. We can't allow them to drive.
They were lied to.
We can't let them say what's best because they don't know what's best. So like that's where a little bit because they're like, oh, of course we have to have another Cena Orton match. I'm like, no, that was the whole thing, to the point where even Cena acknowledged that they wrestled too much and it was overdone to death. So like, even Cena was that's one thing. Cena was always at least decently self-aware, except for SummerSlam 2010, where he would be like, oh, like, I know I'm wrestling Orton too much. He knew he was wrestling too much. He knew when certain things, were a sticking point where even he was like, come on, this is ridiculous. Like, it's like he is aware of things. He is knowledgeable. He has those instincts to know when things are going wrong and to at least, if not course correct, acknowledge, because he comes from a time where they don't course correct. It was just Cena no matter what. But he was at least aware enough, because he had, like I said, he had good matches with Umaga. He had good matches with Edge. He never had good matches with Orton. They had one good match, and it was their last match before this one. So he has those dance partners, those big names. Obviously he had those two amazing matches with Michaels.
AJ Styles, obviously his series with AJ was incredible.
Yeah. That was, I would argue, the best matches of his career were the AJ's ones and the 1 hour Michaels one on TV. But, it's just like, if we get that Cena with like the modern ways WWE is, I think that would be a good mix. Why is Eric saying James and Matt in the chat?
We're the two film people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, three film people. I totally didn't forget anyone when I said that. What about Dylan? Does he work in the business?
No.
Okay, but yeah, I'm happy it turned heel. It was a historic moment, but it to say it's been downhill would be a disservice to how fast it plummeted. I'd rather if you just had a happy last year than this at this point.
I agree.
Of course you agree.
No. I objectively, because even I was like, all right, it's not what I wanted, but I see how this is a huge deal and I see what this could be. Yeah. But it just hasn't been worth it.
No, it has not. It's literally tanked. And then I think that's pretty much it for Saturday night's main event. Is there anything else you want to comment on the show?
Cody Rhodes making his first appearance back since WrestleMania, helping Jey Uso.
I have missed him, but him being with those three guys immediately makes me not care about him.
I get it.
It's really sad.
But what's interesting is if he's immediately getting back into the Cena stuff, is he maybe not the person to take the title off of Cena?
I still think he is. I just think he does it at SummerSlam so that Cena has enough time to turn back face and then just go out with a bang.
Okay. I'd prefer that. But yeah, it is also going to sting and be a kick to the shins that I wasn't there at Mania when he won it, but I'll be there at SummerSlam when he loses it.
It couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. But, like, I'm a Cody guy, but not like a huge Cody guy. Like, I'll always love Cody because he won me a debate with my friends that took years to be proven right, but they were like, no, Ted DiBiase Jr. is going to be the bigger of the two. And I was like, no, he's not. It's going to be Cody.
Even back then, I would never have put money on Ted DiBiase being the guy.
Well, I got multiple friends who did, and, I do not let them live it down. But, I don't think, I'm not like, oh, yes, Cody has to win it back. But I'm like, no, he has to win it back because it's really bad if he doesn't. Yeah. Because you don't do that shitty WrestleMania stuff if you don't give the title back to him, and then you just move on, pretend none of this ever happened. You do Punk versus Cody at Mania next year or something like that, and just get it going back. Cody does not need to hold it for long. He just has to win it back. He has to get that win back because ultimately there's no babyface, up and coming babyface to dethrone him.
I agree.
So it has to be Cody because no one can handle that because they're going to boo whoever it is. It might as well be Cody who can at least recover from that because he will recover from that. And to go on one last tangent about the fan base that shouldn't be allowed to vote or drive, who are ruining the story besides WWE ruining it. The fans cheering Cena. I cannot believe we spent so
20
much of
years.
this booing
20
this man.
years.
And now we can't get booed as a like, oh my God. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? Maybe the company's right to not care about us. Just sometimes. Like, this is one of those times where I'm like,
Ugh.
bro, this is why we
And
need
the
to
thing is,
gatekeep.
but you know what the thing is? We knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
They said it 10 years ago when he was still an active guy. If we turn him heel, they're going to cheer him immediately. And you know what? That's
Well, no,
exactly
but
what
that the one thing I will say, they're not cheering him because he turned heel. They're just cheering him because they're retiring and everyone likes him now.
Yeah.
So like they were going to cheer him no matter what.
Yep.
But they will say that we cheered him because he turned heel so that they can be right, even though it's not what's happening exactly.
Yep.
Because they love to spin narratives like that. That's what they get for having rich crowds. That's a great point. Or fuck, you know what? Fuck those people in the crowd anyway. Because fuck, if you're paying $1,000 for a ticket, you know what? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Like just straight up from the heart, in all sincerity, you're a bad person. 100%. It's guaranteed. You're not a good person. I promise you.
I'm not going to say that. If you can afford it and you've always wanted to go to a WWE show, go. Treat yourself. Everybody, people spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on concert tickets. If you want to go to a wrestling event, go do it. But that's
well, for who's spending $1,000 on concert? Those people also. You're not a good person. I promise. You're not a good person. Your concert tickets should be in the price range of $25 to $70.
Millions of Swifties are going to fight us.
I respect the artist.
Yeah.
No concert should cost, no event should cost that much money.
Yeah.
The justifications are poor for it. And it's a whole nother thing. But let's talk about look, my concerts, I go to like 10 concerts a year and I spend less money on all of those tickets and merch at the shows than the price of, I assume, one ticket to a Beyonce or Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah. I would probably say you're right on that.
Because like wrestling, the best concerts are in normal sized, reasonable venues. And the best concerts don't use Ticketmaster. They use other apps to get around it, like Bands in Town or Diced, because fuck Ticketmaster. Hopefully they sponsor us one day.
That'd be great.
Yeah, but I guess we'll talk about NXT. I'm going to just give a quick my overall summary of it. I didn't watch any of the men's stuff because men's wrestling in WWE is boring, especially in NXT, where the men are the worst part of the show by far. Stephanie versus Jordan Grace was amazing because how could it not have been? And then Kalani Jordan versus Sol Rucker was also great. Although I will say I like them, but they are the perfect people to bring out the unbelievable hypocrisy in a lot of tribalism, because they just keep doing Will Ospreay Ricochet spots.
Yeah.
And then the same fan base that hates on them eats that shit up, even though they're not doing it as like quickly and snap because they're younger and, you know, like they're in developmental for a reason. Like, you know, when they did the initial exchange, I'm like, so Rook is going for a leg sweep. Kalani's legs are like halfway across the ring. What legs are you sweeping, bro? Like, come on. But Soruk is so good, so it's fine. Let it go because she's so good. It's so cool. I didn't like the finish because I like the Soul Snatcher as is.
Yeah.
The way you did it was like you're just doing a flip before an RKO.
I agree. I agree.
Like I think the Soul Snatcher actually has a setup that makes sense, and it's as forced as any other wrestling setup. But
see,
like,
that's my thing with it too. I love hate it because it feels so forced, but it doesn't. But
yeah,
it's
because
so...
there's of course there will be a time where someone's slowly getting up by the ropes. Like that's a reasonable situation to find yourself in.
Yeah.
So like that's why it works, even though it is convoluted. That's why I think it works psychologically. But when you're just on the top rope doing a flip, and then the other person's diving into it, it's like it doesn't look great, but it still was a really good match. And like I still think Kalani Jordan's great, and I still think Soruk is great. because the NXT women should be the ones teaching the men how to wrestle. Bro, teach Ricky Sainz how to do some of that stuff. Definitely teach Ethan Page. He needs a lot of help. But like, oh God, I mean, it's like
I don't use this word, but I think I just gave you the ick when I did that.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know if I have a better way to describe it, but I thought it was a good match. I thought Stephanie and Jordan had a match. I'm like, this is actually too good for NXT.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is why sending people to NXT is so silly sometimes. I'm like, these are the people that need to be here. Like,
apparently, I'm just looking at the comments. Eric's being funny. Apparently, Stephanie made the choice of being in NXT, which I do believe to an extent.
I believe it. I look. Stephanie is a tale of two people. There's Stephanie the wrestler, who I love and adore, and then there's Stephanie the fan. I'm like, you're doing the opposite of what I said earlier, which is I think people should make good decisions for their own careers and use companies.
If you have a driver's license, it's dangerously close to being revoked.
Yeah, she could drive. She could drive. That's fine. But like, she's getting away with a lot of shit we wouldn't have let Seth Rollins get away with in 2019.
Yep. I agree.
But
I also feel
get
really
that
bad
because
for Jordan Grace.
What?
I feel really bad for Jordan Grace.
I mean, in what way? In the fact that she's there, or the fact that she's there, but she's also like always going to be second fiddle to someone like Stephanie.
She got there, and it basically
at the wrong time. She got there at the wrong time.
If she had debuted right after her first Rumble appearance, or within a few months of her first Rumble appearance, I think she would have been such a star. Now she absolutely feels not even second fiddle. Like, it was very clearly Stephanie, Julia, and then her.
And Roxanne above her when Roxanne was there.
Exactly.
Yeah, if she did, like you said, if she debuted when she first debuted in the Rumble, she would be a champion on the main roster right now. Like,
yes.
So she would have had a WrestleMania match this year.
Yep.
And she would be in such a good spot. And not that she won't be in the upcoming years, but like, again, I feel more strongly about this than I think you probably do, even though you're a TNA guy. But like, I'm not loving the way TNA people are acting. They're getting a little, again, they're a little bootlicky, and we'll talk about that in other parts of the show, but like, it's getting, but she's the best at it, where I'm like,
yes.
I still think you're not doing it too much, but you're also like, she's so good that it's like, okay, like, I get why you're saying it. You're towing the company line. You're being a good soldier. I can let a little bit go. Like, that I'm being very hypocritical because I'm like calling them out for the shit where I'm clearly coming off as biased myself. But like, I don't love the way they approach these things. I get it, and this is the problem with WWE. With again, these people who shouldn't be allowed to drive and vote, being the fans that control the narrative. Because they grew up with no competition. It's like, of course they're pro everything WWE is doing. Of course they want them to be the top dogs. It's like, of course that's their dream. Of course the kids who grew up watching at a certain time, that's their dream. Because what else would their dream have been? The dream would never have been TNA, as upsetting as that is. Guys like Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff ruined any chance of that being anyone's dream. But
that's actually something I really want to get into too. But yeah, that's a separate thing.
Yeah, that's a whole thing we have a whole podcast about.
Yeah,
but,
seriously.
So like, of course I don't blame these people for being like, yeah, my dreams have been to compete in WWE. It would be weird if you dreamt of competing in a company that didn't exist yet, when you were a kid, it's totally understandable. But I get why Stephanie wanted to be there. I don't get why Jordan needed to be there. Like, I get Stephanie. It needs to be brief. Stephanie needs to, once she drops the title, immediately go up. But like Julia had, I think, the perfect run where it's like, you're here on a formality, win the title, lose the title, leave.
Back back in the black and gold era, where it was, they would have these people come in, they would win the NXT title, they would drop it to the next guy who was debuting, and then they would immediately go to the main roster. the Bobby Roodes, the Drew McIntyre. He didn't debut, but he like
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah,
like Kevin Owens, all those guys Finn Balor, all those guys who won the title, lost it, went to the main roster. That was the formula that worked.
Yeah, well, to a degree, but yeah, I like that Julia's on that, even though she definitely feels mid card right now. But like, we give it time. Like we'll see how this Money in the Bank match goes, because I think the Money in the Bank match is really going to highlight her and Roxanne.
Yeah.
So we'll see what that turns into. But like I said, the match was great. Jordan versus Steph, fantastic. That's the match you want on a pay-per-view for your women. Like the women showed up in every match across the pay-per-views. Across last night's pay-per-views. For NXT and AEW. I thought all 4 women's matches were fantastic. I think Steph versus Jordan was clearly the best match on the NXT show. As someone who just admitted he didn't watch the men's match, but I stand by that without having watched them. And I dare anyone to prove me wrong, even though I didn't watch. What do you want to say about those before we talk about the dregs of the show?
I thought the women's matches were great. It's funny because I think NXT demonstrates the difference between the mid-card titles and the world title a lot better than the main roster does. Because on the main roster, there's a very good argument that everything Chelsea did with the US title, she could have been doing to a very similar level with the world title.
I don't know about that, but I understand what you're trying to say.
Like, I think Chelsea is just as capable of being the women's champion as she is being the US champion. Maybe that's less true with Lyra, but just because of where Lyra is developmentally wise on the card.
Lyra's like up the fucking top right now. What are you talking about?
No, I mean, like, Lyra's a better wrestler, obviously, but in terms of like, let's not deny the fact that she became way more popular in the last couple of months than when she won the title.
Oh, 100%. But that's why you can't say this now, because it's just she feels like a top person.
Yeah, now she could be a contender for the title, but that's why it kind of works that, like, I don't know. I think the point I'm trying to make is Sol Ruka absolutely feels like somebody who should be carrying the North American Women's Championship, but she doesn't quite feel like she should be winning the NXT Women's Championship.
I mean, I get what you mean. Not yet, anyway, because even when Maria says she's going to be a top babyface on the main roster, and I agree, the way she's developing by the time she gets up there.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
She will 100%. She will be everything that Casey Catanzaro could have been if given a chance.
Yeah.
Because it's like the same kind of style.
A Katana chance.
No, Casey Catanzaro. Okay. Fucking. The first ever woman to finish a course on American Ninja Warrior. Okay, put some goddamn respect on her name. But yeah, I agree. She will be a top thing. Tony, yeah, I mean, look, that's another one of those cases where like there's only so much AEW can do. There are going to be people who are just always going to go to WWE, and it's better to just accept it, to let the Malachi Blacks go, to let the Miros go. And, losing Steph is the only one that truly sucked, where it's like what could have been.
And you got to recognize too, like, Maria, I don't think you said anything wrong, but you said Tony had her at Forbidden Door and let WWE get to her. She took less money to go to WWE. Tony was giving her a better deal to go to AEW, but Stephanie chose WWE because when she realized she might not be able to go, she literally started crying at the thought.
Yeah, which is like, it's crazy that she's so cool that we're letting that go, because that's, I would make fun of anyone else for doing that, or be like, bro, no, like, I'm sorry, but like, no, you're wrong. This is how you feel, but how you feel is wrong.
Yep.
Like,
all emotions are valid except for the wrong ones.
Yeah. And besides the ones I don't like, like that.
I am right on the same page with you. But my whole point of bringing that up is
that there's nothing he could have done.
Yeah, there are just people who have their programming that WWE is the place to be.
Yeah, propaganda works.
Miro had that in his brain. Malachi Black had that in his brain. Granted, he had other circumstances for wanting that, but he had that in his brain. Stephanie Vacker has that in her brain.
Yeah.
So there are just certain people you can't fight it. But I think all things considered, she's in a great place right now. If she was with AEW right now, I don't think she'd be going to All In.
Yeah. Oh, I think she would. I think
Mercedes.
I don't know what she'd be doing, but I think she'd be on the card.
She wouldn't be going for the world title as well. I didn't say it properly. She wouldn't be going for the world title at All In.
Maybe, but maybe I think she maybe would have been the person to dethrone Mercedes.
Yeah, I could have seen that.
I think it's hard. I think we can't say what could have been an AEW, but like I think we can say that she will be better off in WWE because they are going to push her to the moon.
Yeah.
Like she will be a multiple time women's champion on the main roster. She will win a Royal Rumble. I would say, and I don't even feel like this is a bold claim to make.
She's going to do it with that move that drives Booker T crazy.
Oh my God, that's God. I hate that that's now a chant that the crowd does. And then Booker T, when he talked about it in an interview, was like, "I do what I do to highlight the talent." I'm like,
shut the fuck.
That's not like I got so mad at that. I hate Booker T the person, love Booker T the wrestler.
All right, see, I'm with you, but there's a third. I hate Booker T the commentator.
100%.
I hate him most of all.
100%. Yeah, Booker T the commentator is so much worse than Booker T the person, who's just a biased person who has bad takes. He's not like a bad person. He just has very clearly biased takes.
He's a guy who WWE and wrestling in general saved his life.
Yeah.
And he is forever going to be the biggest shill possible. And I understand why, but it makes listening to him unbearable.
Yeah, it's like, it's not like I dislike it. It's just literally like I don't care about your opinion. I will never take it into consideration. It will never mean anything to me. But like it's not like disdain or anything. It's just like I don't like what you say. I don't care. Like I will tune it out immediately. Booker T the wrestler, love him. So good. Fantastic. Booker T the commentator. Oh my God, I hate him. It's so bad. It's so bad.
I hated him for years on commentary.
And he was bad back then too.
People always told me that I was just being a grump and a grouch. And it's like, no, I'm not. He's just that bad.
It was novel for about a month.
Yes.
And then it was bad.
You can only hear Shucky Ducky Quack Quack so many times.
I will take the worst of JBL over the best of Booker T on commentary any day of the week.
I would actually 100% agree with you.
I'll take 2012 Michael Cole over fucking any Booker T.
I'd have to think about that a little bit, but like,
I mean, I'd rather die than hear either of them. But like, if I'm forced to live, if that's not an option.
Because that Booker T did interact with that Michael Cole, and it created a beautiful moment with the Jerry Lawler anal leakage. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I wouldn't call that a beautiful moment either,
right. No, Booker T's what? Because he either didn't believe what the fuck he just heard, or was so shocked that it was possible. Either, I'll never know. But it was a great reaction to absurdity.
Okay, fair. I'll give you that. But anyway, I don't care about the Tony D'Angelo match as much as I like Tony D'Angelo.
I feel the same.
There's nothing to say. We have to talk about, and this is so bad because we praised AEW for like an hour and a half, and then we've been so
This is why I didn't want to end with WWE. It was going to be rough to start with, but at least we would have felt good coming out of the stream.
Well, I'm having fun shitting on it, but like, it's like we like WWE. Like I would say in this group, we're the two that like it the most.
Yeah, we swear we do.
I watch Raw every week. The Raw and Dynamite are the two wrestling shows I watch the most consistently.
Yep.
Like this dude's wearing John Cena merch. I'm a Becky Lynch fan. We watch, we enjoy things. That's the thing. If Becky Lynch was on either of these shows, I'd be fucking going hard talking about how it was the best thing on the show. But
I'm just mental gymnastics trying to justify John Cena's 2025 run here.
Yeah. Like we have our preference. That's the thing. When it's just 2025 WWE has been very off-putting to me personally, or I'm not super into it, especially the way we were last year when we were at WrestleMania. But meanwhile, I stopped at JD from NY and he was just shitting on last night's AEW. Okay, you gotta
brought
stop.
this up for me. It was bait for me. It has to be.
Look, that's another guy. He's literally admitted he's doing it for the money because he knows hating on AEW brings in fucking money. And it does. And it's like, it sucks that that's where we're at in society. And this is why I think some of these people shouldn't be able to vote and drive cars. But, you know, he's a grifter. I don't like him. But, like, I'm not wasting energy on him. He's literally hustling people. The people who are paying him are the dumbest people on the planet. But, you know, whatever. We go to House of Glory shows. Like, you know, it's one where it's like maybe
the beauty of going to a House of Glory
is we don't have to hear him.
I don't have to hear his fucking voice.
That's how they draw us in. They're like, either come to the show or you have to hear him on commentary. I was like, okay, we're gonna go to the show. But like, no, like we have been very critical, but it's just a good weekend to be critical. But that's why I started with the highlights. I loved Steph versus Jordan. I liked Kalani versus Soruka, and I like the weird lesbian romance going on between Zari and Soruka. I'm all for it. Fuck it, do it. But you know, there's just things that, and this is the thing. There are people that like this stuff, and that's fine. But Trick Williams, someone I like. I'm a Trick Williams fan.
So there is one men's match that I would like to talk about that I did enjoy.
Oh, sure, go for it.
I really did like Obafemi versus Miles Bourne.
Oh, look, Obafemi is the fucking man, okay? Yeah. All the criticism I'm lobbing at men's wrestling in WWE, none of that applies to him. Yeah. Absolutely none of that applies to him. He's the fucking, he's the man. He's so cool.
I hate using this word, but he is what the kids talk about when it comes to like aura. He is a star. He's got a walk that you have the entire crowd trying to imitate in their seats as he's doing the walk.
Yeah.
Like, that's how cool he is. He wrestles like a star. He looks like a star. He moves like a star. He speaks like a star. He is a star.
And all of it feels effortless, which is the best part.
1,000%.
So he's so good.
You put Obafemi in a match with Samoa Joe, and I think I would die.
Oh my God. I think that's the best match of all time. Maybe, you know, who knows? But it's like one of those ones where I'm like, I don't even know if I'm worthy to watch this match, you know?
Eric asking, is he him? Is he Himothy? As close to it as possible.
I saw a good sign for Mike Bailey. I was like, he is them. I was like, that's so good. And I think he liked it. I think Mike Bailey because
that's actually RJ City was great with that bit too.
Oh my God, yeah, it was so good.
But I really enjoyed the Miles Bourne match. I'm a sucker for seeing undercard guys get a shot at the main title or just get a shot at a main eventer and kind of show off a little bit. I don't think he's ready. I don't think he's anywhere near ready, but he looked more than competent. And for me, it's one of my favorite tropes in wrestling. And it's a good way to get me invested in a young guy's trajectory. Like for me, I think the standard take away everything he is now and everything he became. Jeff Hardy versus The Undertaker, that storyline, that matchup, that undisputed ladder match.
Yeah.
It set me for life to being a Jeff Hardy fan for life. So I got vibes of that, obviously not at the same level. But for Miles Bourne to win the Battle Royal, to then get this shot against Obafemi, and we all knew he wasn't ready, but still deliver a performance that was like, you know what? I'm rooting for this kid, even though I love Obafemi. Good matchup, really fun back and forth. I liked at the end Oba sort of recognizing Miles, giving him the nod and saying, yeah, this kid put me to work. So good matchup, and now I'm more invested in Miles Bourne than I think I ever would have been prior.
That's valid, and that's the beauty of having a strong top baby face is that you can do those sorts of matches that give the people, like, you have to be a strong enough character for you to actually get people over in defeat, because that is, I think, an art that's a little lost in WWE at the moment. I think AEW excels at it, because you look at Mark Briscoe, who's never wins matches, but like, you know,
I mean,
like
look at Darby Allin on a bigger scale. How much did that guy lose up until he finally started winning?
Yeah, exactly. And like, you know, I think the women do it well. Like, again, not to show like the biases, but like, you know, I'm like, I don't think anyone's ever looked bad from losing to Becky Lynch. Not even Bianca Belair in hindsight, but you know, like this kind of thing where like the match they had at Backlash, no matter who won, it already got Lyra higher than she ever was.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing that you don't see as much. Like, people stopped getting over from losing to Roman pretty early on.
Yeah,
I'd say after like the first year
of
that title reign. I drew this, and then like no one's over from losing to Seth Rollins because he was a secondary champion.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it's a kind of thing that it's kind of lost. But having someone like Obafemi, where it's like, yeah, if you just have a good showing against that monster, yeah, you look good, because he's that much of a solidified top guy that if you can even just put up good offense against him, you look good for it. And that's the beauty of having someone so credible on top. I'm gonna be honest, I don't care about Miles Bourne, because I don't care about these Randy Orton clones hopping around everywhere. But like,
You don't like Kyle Fletcher?
no, I love Kyle Fletcher. Honestly, he's won me over. But like, you know, he doesn't. I'm a Randy Orton guy, but like the similarities are not really there. They're just white guys. Like,
He's a bald guy who hits a power slam and a drop kick. That is the Miles Bourne Randy Orton connection.
you know, it's like it's kind of thing where I'm like, I just don't. I'm not a huge. It's better than emulating Cena, I guess. I'll take that. But
Miles Bourne looks like if Randy Orton and Crash Holly fused.
yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. But you know, look, Orton's one of my all-time favorites, but I'll be the first to admit, my guy wrestles a very boring style, you know, so like, he's not the guy you want young guys to emulate. You want them to take the good things. Take the drop kick. Take the best, at one point, the best drop kick in wrestling. In 2007, I don't think anyone had a better drop kick, but like, you know, take the RKO, maybe the best finisher of all time. Maybe. Probably.
Whoever Randy passes the RKO onto is going to be so lucky. It's just a cutter. It's not going to be any different than any of the other cutters that the other indie people are hitting. But when he bequeaths the RKO to somebody, it's going to make their career.
I don't know. He kind of gave it to Matt Riddle and he got fired. So like, I don't know about that. But I think the last thing we have to talk about
I don't want that.
is Joe Henry versus Trick Williams for the TNA Championship. It's just two WWE wrestlers wrestling for a TNA title, pretty much.
No, it's not two WWE wrestlers. It's two NXT wrestlers.
Two NXT, that's, yeah. Maybe one's a borderline Evolve wrestler, but you know, we'll see where Hendry ends up when he comes over. But I like Trick a lot. I think he has so much potential.
Yeah.
He excels. He's kind of like with the, like how you're talking about John Cena, where it's like he needs the right opponent.
Yeah.
Joe Hendry, I don't know if he's that opponent. Like, I couldn't say I watched this match in full because you couldn't pay me. I love Joe Hendry. I love local hero Joe Hendry. I love the legend that was Joe Hendry before he got super famous. But WWE cuck Joe Hendry is not my favorite. I am happy for him. He deserves this opportunity.
Yes. He deserves to lose to Randy Orton in 4 minutes. He deserves to lose the TNA title to Trick Williams. He does. He absolutely deserves all this. You're 100% right. He deserves to do interviews and say, you know what, this is what's best for the TNA World Title. This is what's best for TNA. He deserves all of this.
He deserves to blast in the Rumble for 4 minutes. Like,
yep. He deserves it. It's what he wants. He deserves it.
Yeah.
He's earned it. He's earned it.
Like, again, this is a case where I gotta separate the two. Joe Hendry, the performer, the act, great. Joe Hendry, the person, still a really good person that I'm happy for.
Yeah, I met
but
him.
definitely a dork who, if I was friends with in real life, I would make fun of. Lovingly, of course. But, you know, oh God, what do you even say? Like, I don't think it's terrible that Trick is the champ. I like Trick.
I do too.
But like,
it's great for Trick. It's great for Trick.
Yeah, I do think it's great for Trick, and I think this bridges the gap because they clearly don't want to call him up yet because he seems like a guy they don't want to call up without a plan.
Yeah.
You know, so like they're just stalling for that, and that's fine because this gives them something good to go, and it's good to get your licks in, get your chops in. I saw like an interesting conversation point like last week where I was like, is it better to only wrestle in developmental, or it would not be better to go out and branch out and wrestle another? Like, come on, all of our favorite wrestlers from the last 15 years are pretty like well traveled, you know, experience wise. Like literally, except for Orton and Cena, everyone, even Brock Lesnar, has done it.
Yep.
Like, you know, not. Please, no one talk about Brock Lesnar coming back. We're not doing that.
We got to move on, guys.
Yeah, just move on with your life. But like, you know, everybody did it except for that OVW class minus Lesnar and Shelton. You know, like everyone's done it. I guess except for Roman too. But look how bad that was for the first 6 years. But it's good. It's like a pseudo version of it because it's a business relationship. So like it is the most WWE way of going about it, but I do think this will be good for Trick.
Yes, I do too.
For the TNA title, I don't know. That's to be determined. My initial instinct is to laugh at it. Well, once I stopped laughing, I felt nothing. I don't know how you felt after you stopped laughing, but I felt nothing.
I'm like, do you want like the funny response or do you want like the actual response? Because I can give you that.
I want both, but give me the funny one first.
I am dead inside and I haven't felt anything since before Jordan Grace left TNA.
That's valid. Look, okay, let me paint the scene for our viewers, even though you see James all the time and you never see me. James is like a diehard TNA fan. Like, he is the supporter through the dark times in a commendable way. Everyone else has moved on, but you are. Look, I brought up The Walking Dead earlier. I watched Walking Dead fucking through the end, bro, and it was tough. I went through there was some dark times in there, and it really never turned around, except for a brief moment in like season 9. But like, it was rough, and like James has been doing that for almost 20 years at this point.
Yep. I have been following TNA since 2004. I became a diehard TNA fan around 2006, 2007. No, I'm sorry. It was 2008. I love TNA for what it should be, which is an alternative to. I thought you were unplugging, and I was like, I get it. I love TNA for what it should be and for what it was, which is an alternative in professional wrestling. AEW is the sports presentation of professional wrestling. WWE is the entertainment presentation of professional wrestling. TNA was always sort of a good mix of both. There was always incredible action, but they did not care. They were not afraid of doing the most attitude era stuff that would get people to say, what the hell did I just watch? Sometimes very bad, sometimes very poorly, but oftentimes very entertainingly. So that's what I love about TNA, and that's what I've loved about TNA. I got back into it fully, that I was watching every week to the point that I decided to make it a weekly episode here on the podcast when Kenny won the TNA title. Even after Kenny lost, I was still watching TNA every week because they got me. There was incredible talent there. People like Josh Alexander, who you could see every week now on AEW Dynamite. People like Speedball Mike Bailey, who you could see every week now on AEW. People like Jordan Grace, who you could see every week in NXT. People like Joe Hendry, who you could see for 5 seconds on WWE TV before he loses. I loved what I was being presented. And I truly felt for the longest time, as much as I love AEW, as much as I love WWE, TNA was putting on the most consistently strong product. That AEW might have had the high highs from time to time. WWE might have been on white hot fire going into WrestleMania season. But on a week-to-week basis, TNA was delivering the best quality television. And then in a one fell swoop, we saw that Jordan Grace had her first Royal Rumble appearance. And it was like, yes, this is amazing. Wait a minute. It's starting to look like she might just be leaving for WWE. And she started beating everybody in TNA, which is great because she is that person. She deserves to. And then she gives the final loss to fucking Tessa Blanchard. I don't know what I did there to deserve that, but that's what I got. Joe Hendry, we talked about it. He's doing all these great things that for Joe Hendry, the wrestler, is amazing. The guy got to be at WrestleMania. The guy got to be at the Royal Rumble. The guy got to defend the TNA title on WWE TV. That's great for Joe Hendry. What is it doing for TNA? Half the talent is now, half the main major talent is now gone. Scott D'Amore, who was the president of the company and was the person who brought the letters TNA back from just being Impact, got fired. Gail Kim, one of the most influential women's wrestlers of all time, gets fired. If TNA wants to be a feeder system to WWE, this weekend, this episode of NXT, this pay-per-view for NXT, was a great showing for TNA. That's amazing. They got to have an NXT person win their title. And if that's what you want to be, great. But considering this is a title that has a lineage of Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Kurt Angle, Sting, Christian Cage, so many great people. And now it's the title to the developmental title. There's no good spin on that, guys. There's no good spin on that if you want TNA to be its own entity and if you want TNA to be viewed as a viable competitive source. It just isn't. If they want to be a feeder to NXT, great job. You guys did it. You did it, and if that's what you want, I need to prepare myself for what this product is going to be. But it's hard. It's really hard to support this spiral. And I think the most infuriating thing is all of these WWE fans who are telling me that this was a better deal than what TNA had with AEW. I love Trick. I agree with everything you said. Every single word you said about Trick, I agree 100%. WWE's contribution to the TNA World title is Trick Williams. AEW's contribution to the AEW World title, to the TNA World title, is Kenny Omega.
I mean, obviously, you'd prefer one of those names over the other, like you said, Trick Williams. But you know, look, you're right. I agree with you. I think you went on a beautiful tangent just now, and it wasn't a tangent, but it was just a beautiful soliloquy of what this partnership is doing. And I'm gonna add two things to it. One cynical, one positive towards TNA. Cynical part, they're just being used as pawns in an effort to undermine AEW. And like, that sounds conspiracy theory of me, but this deal would have never happened if AEW doesn't exist. And I know there's a lot of red string in between that, but they do connect because they would never partner with other promotions like this otherwise. Like that is why. And that's fine. Like that's good for TNA. If they want to ride that, that's fine for them if that's what they think will keep them alive and benefit them. Because you know what? That's what TNA's specialty is being alive. Yeah.
Yep.
They're the cockroach of wrestling companies in an endearing way. Complimentary, not derogatory. But
I agree.
And that's where I want to turn the positive for them. They have this, they go by a motto or a saying that like I hear once in a while, which is kind of evolve or die trying. And they haven't died yet. The evolutions might not always work, but they're trying. And I get that phrase. I mean, it's kind of a phrase, but like I'm borrowing it from and this is very relevant to me personally, but like a theme park related discussions where Six Flags and Sea of Flair merged, blah blah blah, and their strategy seems to be evolve or die trying, where they're just ripping down ride after ride in an effort to, in a couple of years, have everything refreshed and rebuilt and better. It's like it's a balls to the wall like Hail Mary strategy of like, okay, like there's a big risk, but if it pays off, it's going to pay off big, sort of thing. And that's seems to be the mindset that TNA operates with. And to keep the theme park comparison, WWE is obviously Disney, evil, but it's comfort for a lot of people. It's beloved, but they're an evil organization and they need to be stopped. AEW is Six Flags Theater Fair. They are the high thrill. If you want to compare it, if you are under the false impression that they don't tell stories or they don't care as much about stories, you could say, well, that's the difference between a theme park like Disney and an amusement park like Six Flags Theater Fair. It's like, no, it's more about the rides themselves, not the set dressing of the rides. Where like they're not trying like to tell you a story while you wait in line, like they would at like Disney or Universal. And then TNA would be like the amusement park on a boardwalk, on like a beach, like on Jersey Shore, Atlantic City, or like Rye Playland or something.
Yeah. And similar to Rye Playland, we've been hearing for years that they're going to go out of business.
And they never fucking do. And they never do. Everything is wrestling is the takeaway.
Yes. No, honestly, anything can be brought back to wrestling. At the end of the day.
Okay, well, hold on real quick. I want to say Maria, they're not evolving. They're becoming WWE's B word. Oh, 100%. That's they're trying to evolve, but that's what it's turned into. WWE's name brother corporation. Yeah. But I'm sorry, James. Go ahead.
No, I want to be happy that TNA is getting more recognition, because realistically, more people are talking about TNA than they have in years. More people are attending TNA events than they have in years. This is all theoretically great stuff. It's just so clear that it's like Maria said, like you said, there is an agenda here. TNA is not being treated as an equal. TNA is being treated as a pawn for WWE to further their agenda. I think Maria also put it in the comments. Remember, the same thing happened to ECW. Absolutely. Everyone loved, Mr. Monday Night, Rob Van Dam. Well, yeah, that's because WWE wanted Rob Van Dam, and Rob Van Dam wanted to go to WWE.
Yeah.
But, and God bless him for it. I understand. I wouldn't want to work for Paul Heyman either. But the same thing is happening here. I could not tell you what qualifies as the main event for TNA right now. You have Mike Santana. You have Frankie Kazarian. You have, on the cusp, Mustafa Ali, which is the biggest fucking heartbreak of them all. You have Moose. And Hendry's out the door.
Yeah, he's 100% gone, and he's never going back. They're going to be like, do you want to do a crossover routine? He's like, no, I never want to step foot in that place again.
TNA what? TNA who?
Yeah, he's like, what is that? He's like, I am there is a spot open. There's a Elias Santino shaped hole that needs to be filled. I'm going to take that spot. I will no longer be local hero Joe Hendry. I will be. Yeah, he's gonna slide into a.
Wait. So he's going from local hero to foreign heel.
Yeah, it is WWE after all. Triple H hasn't fallen that far from the McMahon tree. Let's be real. But like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where this leaves TNA's division. I just know. I hope a lot of the talent that were recently released and who should be able to compete pretty soon don't go to TNA. Just go explore it. I'm not saying go to AEW. Just go out there. Really
work GCW. Work
House of Glory. House of Glory will come see you. Like just
there's only one person who got released from WWE that I am relatively happy to see show up in TNA, and that is Indy Hartwell. And that is just because of her and Steph DeLander. Otherwise, I wouldn't care.
Okay, I disagree, but okay, fine. The way your reasoning is understandable, but I'm like, come on, like, I don't know. I would feel weird if like, okay, like to just put it in, like, I used to work for a gym. I would feel weird if that major chain bought a smaller chain and then fired me, and then I got a job at that smaller chain. I wouldn't do, like, like.
The only way I'd be okay with it is if I'm falling away from the gym analogy, so I apologize.
No, go for it.
If like these Indy Hartwells or whoever's literally never show up on WWE TV. Like, if they show up in TNA and they get signed to TNA, and then there's like, we're doing the big WWE TNA crossover, do not show up for it. Do not appear on TV for it. That's the only way it's okay. Because
but they're gonna have to interact with WWE wrestlers coming across.
Can I tell you my huge conspiracy theory that it sounds crazy, but I legitimately in my heart believe this to be true?
Hell yeah, we're at the 3-hour mark. You could throw in some conspiracies.
I 1000% believe Nick Nemeth was a WWE mole from the beginning. To infiltrate and to influence. You see, I finally got my shot here in TNA. But even tonight on TV, or last night on TV for NXT, they were like, here he was Dolph Ziggler. Over there, he's Nick Nemeth. But yeah. And it's like, oh my God, none of it was real. None of it was real. This was a hunt. Like, you were so happy to cash in those WWE checks for over a decade, knowing that you were their bitch. And then you go to TNA and immediately TNA becomes part of the WWE system. One, nobody's luck is that bad. And two, I 1000% feel that he was facilitating and saying, I think this is a good idea.
Yeah, 100%. Look, like anyone else, I loved Dolph in 2012. Like, and I still did in 2014.
When was this thing year? The Survivor Series year?
2014. Okay. And I held on a little bit of hope in 2016. But by 2017, I'd given up. The ship had sailed. It was never going to be. And then when he didn't leave around the inception of AEW, I was like, okay, you're never going to take the chance on yourself. So, like, that's it. It's over. Like, you're never going to, there's no point in investing. I let go of that. As I think any healthy adult should. You let that shit go and just stop longing for what could have been in his case. And then he turned into another guy who I still like as a wrestler, but he has shitty ass takes and opinions and shit. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to listen to anything you have to say outside of a wrestling ring, and I don't want to hear what you have to say inside of a wrestling ring anymore either. But I'll never forget the good times, which weren't even that good. They were more like the times where we wanted you to be more than you were. They were still bad times because you were always held down, but there was at least some enjoyment there, where now I'm like, well, now I would never rally behind you because I'm like, That's long gone.
His best moment was almost unsuccessfully cashing in Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
His
And it was
best
great.
moment- It was amazing. It's one of those moments that, as a wrestling fan, I will forever cherish being there for.
Third best cash in of all time.
Who's above it?
The first one and Seth.
You think the Edge one? I mean, all right, fair. I'm a little biased, but I understand.
What do you? Oh my! Half the cash-ins were against Cena. Come on, like
I hated them all. I resented RVD for years.
he did it the right way.
I admit I had to like it.
Actually, no, he did it the wrong way. That's like the dumbest thing. Like, don't just fucking do it the cheap way.
God, I should have it in my DNA to hate Edge.
Hold on, real quick. Hold on, Eric. He was good during the. It should have been me years. Eric co-signed in 2019 WWE. You heard it here first. He loved that shit, bro.
One
he
of the
loved-
worst years.
He loved Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler in 2019, not in 2006 when it was for the mid-card title, not in 2007 when it was for the mid-card title, not in 2008 when it was for the mid-card title, not in 2009 when it was for the mid-card title, not in 2010 when it was for the mid-card title, not in 2011 when it was for the mid-card title, not in 2012 when it was still for the mid-card title, even though Dolph had Money in the Bank, not in 2013
When it was for the world title.
when Trump was a former champion, but it was still for a mid-card title. No, he liked it in big 2019 because of the one good promo and an otherwise shit program where coming off of everyone being so happy. He's doubling down. He's doubling down. Goated. He loves Hell in a Cells with non-finishes. That and the Braun Strowman Roman one where Brock ripped off the door. Those were his two best ones. But you know, like you let that shit go. And you know what? I'm fine with your conspiracy because he didn't do it. He took the safest option and he was blanketed the whole time. Because it wasn't.
Because I guarantee if he went to AEW as opposed to TNA, they would have given him a contract and he would have been in the mid card. Like they would have debuted him going for the TNT title or something. He would have lost, and then he would have had to figure out what he was going to do. As opposed to in TNA, he is the same person he's been for the last decade and a half.
And he'd be throwing he'd be like Miro and Malachi Black. He'd be unhappy to be there and just wasting time, trying to whatever. It is what it is. I've let go of the Dolph Ziggler of it all. Like I like Indy. I think she's a very likable person. I think Australians are kind of just naturally kind of funny. It's like that's always endearing. But you know, I wish she was a little more travel, but I'll let it go. But
she won the Hog Women's title.
That's true. That's true. She'd have that good match with Mercedes, but you know, maybe I really want Priscilla Kelly to just go back to being Priscilla Kelly and just be what she was before WWE. Because fortunately, I think it was better than what she was before WWE. You know, like, there's people I just don't want to go to TNA. You know.
I wholly agree with what you're saying, but is it weird that I actually prefer the Gigi Dolan name to the Priscilla Kelly name? I just feel like it flows better.
I think it flows better syllable-wise, but I think it's a generic name. Otherwise, it's like
I'll give you that. Like Priscilla Kelly, it's like that's a person. Gigi Dolan, it's like that's a name.
A lot of the NXT people have this problem where I'm like these are just words. Like Thea Hale, like okay, there's just two things. Like what? Like sometimes I recognize people, but then like if you say the name, I have to think about it. I'm like, who is that? Whereas if like I saw them, but okay, I know that is. But like that's just an NXT thing where it's like we're running out of names. You gotta just start letting people wrestle with their names because it's getting bad for the people who aren't creative.
Yeah, no, it's true.
I guess we've gone on long enough. And when she wins the match, she can see.
It's only been 3 hours.
1 hour per show, you know?
I think, honestly, that's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad. If we skew it, it was probably like an hour and a half for AEW.
It 100% was exactly an hour and a half for AEW. I like Eric's comment, and when she wins a match, she can say GG's. But here's the thing: she never won matches in NXT.
And it also
every single match.
It would be great. It would just not suit who she is at all. This is, oh my god! All right, that might have been the biggest thing.
That's James's wet dream. We're like, look, no, there's an important role. We need a liberal Joe Rogan. And I'm not going to be the guy, but like, maybe you can.
Even though you years and I'll be just as bald probably.
But yeah, I don't know what else to say. I just have fun like laughing about it because ultimately it's not a big deal. It is what it is, sort of thing. Like, did I like Saturday Night's main event? No, but like we're here doing this instead of watching Raw. Did anything good happen on Raw? People in Maria, are you still there? Did anything good happen on Raw? Because I don't even know if I want to watch it now. But I still like talking about it, even if we're being like facetious and shitting on it a bit. But it's just fun to do. I mean, I'm not a big NXT guy. I like the matches. I don't like the feel of it.
I agree. It's hard for me. It's really hard to be invested in NXT. I don't know what it is. Like, I recognize there is good there. I just don't think there is anything other than the women, which are incredible. I don't think there's anything that makes NXT feel like it has an identity.
It feels the most artificial of all the wrestling shows by like a wide margin. And that's not to say that they don't tell good stories. It's just that everything feels like it's almost like when it's like a mainstream like movie franchise where I'm like, you're just following like the most like try hard template to be like, I don't want to say meta, but not meta. I'm thinking meta as in like card game metas or like video game metas where it's like, oh, you're just going for like what's powerful and what works. But like, you're just going for what you think people want when it's like, we've kind of moved past that where, it's almost like bad MCU movies, where it's like, they all look the same and they all kind of sound the same. They're all the same, like color gradient to them. And it's like, this all feels so artificial now where I'm like, like it doesn't mean there's not good stuff there. Like there's good stuff in like the multiverse of madness, but like it could be hard to like pick it out from a lineup of other MCU movies of the time where I'm like, this isn't like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? I'm not articulating it that well because I'm not a movie guy, but
I think the point you're trying to make is it's not setting a trend like it used to. It is part of the wave at this point.
Yeah. It feels like it's not trying to be counterculture or to set a culture, but it's just following culture. So it's like it's behind on the trends. It's like people using TikTok lingo 5 months after it became popular, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, Shawn Michaels is in charge of it. He's not a young hip guy.
That's true.
Eric saying it's Vikingo versus Gable for the AAA title at the pay-per-view. I will shit a brick if Gable wins a singles title outside of WWE before he wins the Intercontinental title or the US title.
Yep, and that's what's gonna happen. I've given up on it. That's another one I'm letting go. I'm going through the process of letting it go with Gable. Look, I know it's bad, but there's a part of me that likes El Grande Americano. But it's already run its course and it's overstayed its welcome. Because look, it's everything I liked about Ezekiel, but with a better wrestler.
Yeah.
But it's for like a company that is what it is. So it's a little harder to enjoy.
It's not funny for the joke that it should be. They think it's funny for the joke they want it to be. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're making fun of something. Like it's American Dad. Except they're Stan Smith and we're Steve Smith and Haley Smith. 5 people got that. Penta almost broke his neck. Well, that does sound like Penta.
They wrestled. How many times are Cable and Penta gonna wrestle? Oh my goodness.
How many times have they wrestled? How many times has Americano wrestled Penta? That's the bigger question.
Have they wrestled yet? I don't know if they have.
I have no clue.
Unless they wrestled tonight because we're not watching. No, okay. It was a Money in the Bank qualifier. That's fine. I rescind my exasperation. Who qualified? That's a good. I guess we could just watch the show because we really should wrap this up. But I'm kind of just hanging out with you.
Yeah, right. You're not going live in 10 minutes to cover Raw.
I could lie and say I watched it when I didn't, but
no, we should probably wrap it up. Guys, thank you so much for being here with us for 3 hours and 15 minutes. There was a lot of wrestling this weekend. We didn't even cover the TNA pay-per-view that happened on Friday. But there's only so much time in a day. We're exhausted. And quite frankly, this was a good catch-up because we missed you guys. Whether you liked Saturday night's main events, Battleground, or Double or Nothing, 3 very different shows. If you're a wrestling fan, you had fun watching at least one of the 3. So I hope you had a good time watching wrestling this weekend. We will be back this Wednesday to cover AEW Dynamite. I am going to try to muster the energy and the emotional fortitude to cover TNA Impact on Thursday. And I don't think we have a pay-per-view until... for 2 weeks, until Money in the Bank. So in the meantime, we're just going to keep on keeping on. Danny, is there any last words you want to say?
That's more or less it. I'll get my camera fixed. Eric made a joke about how it's getting darker and darker. That's because I was using natural light and I was dark outside because we've been podcasting for 3:16, but
yeah.
And all I have is like blue lights. So I have to get a new camera, but I'll try to get that before Wednesday, but no promises. If not, I'll have it for next week. And now that I'm here, all these shows are going to run even longer. So more podcasts for you guys.
Oh yeah.
And more Eric being mad at me in the chat.
Rusev and Miro in a storyline. Holy shit. I don't have the energy. I'll look it up later. Everybody, thank you so much. Have a great night. As always, this is the Mark It Down podcast. If you enjoyed what you saw, please hit that like button. That way, more people get to see us. If you're a follower of ours already, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for sticking on this ride. And if you're new and you're only checking us out for the first time, hit the follow button so you can keep on keeping up with it. I'm so tired. If you like us, you really like us, check us out on social media. Matt has a dictatorship over Instagram. Danny is the liberal crusader on Twitter, otherwise known as X to certain people. Rev is on Blue Sky. I pretend like I'm on Facebook, but really nobody's on Facebook. And I think Eric runs the TikTok. I don't think there's any more social media than that. We're not going back to MySpace. It's just gone.
I wish.
But go check us out on any of those social media platforms. We have a lot of fun there, especially if you love Seinfeld. Almost only if you like Seinfeld should you check out our Instagram. But other than that...
And if you don't like Seinfeld, you should also check out our Instagram.
It'd be nice. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
And let him know you don't like Seinfeld. Say, why are you posting so much Seinfeld? It's a lot of Seinfeld. I'm James Gisanti. This is Danny Hernandez. Producer boy did nothing, but he was a great commentator. We appreciated him. We love you guys. Have a good night. It's going to take me a second to hit the outro. There it is. Later.